the news cycle this week treated us terribly.
Man, it couldn't have been worse.
You cannot imagine my surprise, my shock, my dismay when I saw that in between recording on Sunday and the episode releasing on Wednesday, the world's richest man who backs the current president hit a fucking Sig Heil in front of a crowd.
Jaw dropped.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah.
He did it once, then he turned around and did it again. Make sure everybody could see it.
Yeah, and now we got him and a bunch of other, like an army of his cronies trying to tell us what we saw happen did not actually happen.
We've got like half of his cronies trying to say like, no, that wasn't actually a Sig Heil, like he was just doing a gesture. We had another...
he's autistic and that's why he did it.
Yeah. We had another group of conservatives that were like, look at these pictures of Obama and Kamala Harris doing it when you see the video and they absolutely are not hitting a Sig Heil. They're just raising their fucking arm. They didn't hit that shit forcefully, bang their heart and then throw it out. Yeah. And then fucking we had the other half of Elon Musk's like fans saying, oh yeah, no, he did that shit.
And making hype videos off of it.
And they're like, oh yeah, he did that shit and that's actually base and cool and good. And it's all the people he unbanned off Twitter.
Like, I usually think quoting 1984 or books like that's kind of corny, you know what I mean? But it's literally like they want you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears.
Yeah.
Like, we all saw it happen. He did it multiple times.
And then he went on fucking Twitter after he realized that every single conservative in the world is defending him and even some centrists. And he started making Nazi jokes about it.
Yeah.
He's like, he tweeted something like, I did not see that coming. Shut the brother, presidential inauguration. You went up there and hit a Sig Heil.
I wonder if Nazis were that corny back in the day. You know what I mean? Like, oh, didn't mean to do that. Like, come on now.
And it's like, it reminds me, I don't know who tweeted this out, but I wish I did so I could shout him out. But it was something like, I knew fascism was coming, but I couldn't imagine that the people doing it would be so fucking lame and boring.
Yep.
And that's exactly the case right here. Like, yeah, I knew some bad shit was going to happen with Trump being elected. Obviously, Elon's kind of been along for the ride these past few months. And I knew Elon was lame and boring, but I couldn't imagine just how fucking dumb this shit would be. Just how dumb the fucking discourse would be.
That quote tweet that you did the other day where it's JD Vance like, I thought I wasn't going to have to vote in the Senate anymore. That shit's so lame, man.
The lamest person in the world. Like, y'all are not slick. Y'all are not funny.
Look, man, I've made this point on the podcast before, but I'll drop it again because I feel it fits. No politician or public figure is ever caught accidentally quoting Marx or accidentally quoting some revolutionary, right? Like, we never get a liberal that suddenly just drops, you have nothing to lose but your chains.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. What we get all the time, though, is Republicans or people on the right wing, public figures or politicians doing Nazi or far-right dog whistles, or in this case, bullhorns, and then telling us that that's not what actually happened or offering some excuse for it. It's ridiculous. It happens all the time.
And like, it can't get much worse than the fucking Sig Heil.
Yeah.
And like, it's crazy to see people get on there and say like, oh yeah, it was a Sig Heil. He meant to do it, but he's just a troll. So like, it's funny. Brother, you don't fucking troll about that shit at the presidential inauguration.
He literally had to do like a tour of Auschwitz to apologize for being anti-Semitic on his platform.
Yes.
Like last year he did that.
And then he does this shit. And then he goes to Germany and speaks at a fucking AfD rally.
Yeah.
He hits a Sig Heil at the presidential inauguration here. Then he goes to Germany and does a Nazi rally. Like, what are we doing?
Look, man, there will be a lot of time from this Trump administration dedicated to trying to convince you that what you see and hear is not actually what you see and hear. And one of the true tests of the next 4 years will be trying to keep your head on straight when that happens, because it will happen all the time.
Oh yeah, and just scream about it.
Yeah,
scream. They would not. They don't even let liberals get away with not quoting Marx. You know what I mean? So of course, when I see Elon Musk Sig Heil, I'm calling that shit a Sig Heil.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I have never seen a Democratic politician like accidentally say some shit like, I don't know, 1,000 flowers must bloom.
They're not spitting excerpts from Wretched to the Earth.
They're not. Like, it doesn't happen. I have never seen a Democratic politician at a national level do some shit like that.
But it gets attributed to them regardless. But yet these conservative motherfuckers can go on there, in some instances, fucking quote Hitler. Like, was it Dr. Oz 2 years ago?
Or he was standing in front of Hitler's car.
My God.
There's been Republicans several times that have, there's one that damn near said the 14 words one time. Like, it happens all the time.
Man.
Yeah, it's looking real bleak out there, folks.
Yeah, it is.
It's really not good. And I even saw like some of the liberal media describing it as an awkward gesture. No, dog.
Why?
He hit a Heil Hitler. Like, just say it.
And it's like, why? Why let him get away with that? Why try to appeal to like their like the plausible deniability of it all when you could just call it what it is?
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to lose voters for doing it.
They might be afraid of like retribution because Trump is pretty clearly dropping like the whole free speech warrior angle.
Oh, yeah. I'm going into hiding in a couple weeks once Cash Patel gets confirmed to the FBI.
I mean, shit, ICE raids are already happening in Michigan. So, like, not that much of a stretch, right? Yeah, it's bad, folks.
It's real bad. And the inauguration, just as a whole, just the front row being billionaires, the front row being what, the 5 richest people in the world?
Yeah.
You got Elon Musk, the richest guy ever, Jeff Bezos, the ex-richest guy ever, Mark Zuckerberg, aspiring richest guy ever. Yeah. And 2 of those billionaires run massive social media platforms in this country. Yeah.
Mark runs the biggest one in the world, I'm pretty sure. Facebook, I think it's the biggest social media platform. And then Twitter is not nearly as big as Facebook, but it's still like a pretty big social media platform.
The most anti-Semitic social media platform in the world.
Into a right-wing propaganda factory, more so than it was before, because it's not like, Jack Dorsey was a fucking leftist or anything. So, it's looking real bleak. Oh, and of course, Instagram. Zuckerberg runs Instagram, too.
Oh, that's true.
So, like... It's crazy corporate consolidation, but these are the guys that are fighting the establishment. Yeah,
remember it was 4 years ago. The whole narrative was Trump is anti-big tech. Trump is fighting against big tech. And then he goes and invites the biggest tech CEOs to his inauguration, and then he goes, spoiler alert, and announces a $500 billion investment into big tech.
Yeah. Oh, and also, the dude who runs TikTok, the American version of TikTok, was there too. And apparently, I don't know if this is confirmed. This might just be conspiracy, but I did see that people who posted stuff with like hashtag Free Palestine were getting their content removed.
Well, fucking, there's that. There's some other stuff I'd been seeing, like kind of like along those lines. But what is concrete is that I read a BBC article this morning where like hashtag Democrats was just completely silenced on Instagram.
Oh, well, that's good to know.
And Mark Zuckerberg acknowledged it and was like, "Oh, there's a glitch going on. We're working hard to fix it." What a fucking coincidence. Yeah. What an absolute coincidence.
Yeah, I mean, if you're ever wondering what the fundamental difference is between right-wing and left-wing populists, it's this, right? Like the right-wing populist doesn't think that the aristocracy is bad. They just want the aristocrats to do their bidding for them. Yeah. Whereas the left-wing populist doesn't want aristocracy to exist at all. We don't want the oligarchs. We want it to be an even playing field for everybody, but it isn't.
It's never been more obvious.
Yeah.
It's never been so in your face. Like it's so the swamp. Like I don't understand how people can still see that and stand by this guy.
Man, it's bad.
It's bad out there.
Welcome back to Head in the Office, everybody. The only podcast.
The only
one.
Yep.
I haven't heard of another podcast. Have you?
No.
I think this might be the only one. So welcome to the first podcast and only podcast ever. If you want to help to support the show, as always, head over to Patreon, become a patron, get early access to all of our episodes right now. Yes. The Q&A episode that we recorded and dropped last week is on Patreon.
It's a banger.
And if you want to listen to it and maybe see if your question was answered if you left it, got to become a patron.
They're pretty cool. Lots of questions answered. Lots of answers given.
Yeah. It'll become to the public eventually. But if you want access to that, it's on Patreon right now. And if you're a patron and you haven't listened to it, it's there for you.
Check it out. Leave a comment.
It's what you pay for. So go and get that. This episode, it'll be mostly talking about the first week of the Trump administration. I don't think there's really much else to talk about.
Yeah, that's it.
There's some state-by-state stuff, but it's mostly being done in the shadow of this new Trump administration in terms of like following up on him.
Yeah. And there's a lot going on, guys. It was kind of a bad week.
It was a real bad week. So a lot of this episode will be dedicated to breaking down everything we saw from Donald Trump, all the executive orders, and the stuff that the Republican Congress is doing and shit like that. But before we get into that, as always, I'll remind you all to follow us on our social medias. Important now more than ever because maybe we'll get shadow banned on those and you won't be able to see it naturally.
Yeah.
So make sure to follow us on our social medias. Also, if you want to support the show, you can always leave a 5-star review on Apple. And I think we've got
2. 3 today.
3?
We've got 3.
We do have 3. We do have 3 today. I'll take this first one.
Okay.
From Ultra the Dragon.
Amazing.
Absolute cinema. They say, let me start off by saying that I, of course, condemn Hamas in all political violence. However, I also condemn all non-Hiddo listeners. Seriously, why aren't you listening to the #1 geopolitical podcast? Nay, the #1 podcast.
Oh, I've been saying this.
These are my 2 absolute favorite straight cis white boys, and their commentary is not only informative, but extremely funny. And I'm not sure if there's ever been an episode where I haven't laughed. And that's the goal, to bring smiles, of course.
Yes, it is.
Even when Orange Man won and I was not having fun for a few days, these guys still managed to make me laugh about our country falling to fascism. These boys always have objectively correct takes and do their due diligence in researching the topics they discuss. I found these guys on TikTok in 2023, and I've been hooked ever since. As a queer black man living in Missouri, thankfully in a blue area, you can imagine I'm just ecstatic for the next 4 years, but with Jeremy and Gage, I at least know that I'll be informed and laughing while my rights are taken away. And that's all you can hope for. I'm currently a Wednesday weenie, but soon I will shed the dreaded status and ascend to a Sunday supremacist to become the boys' very real, very true, non-parasocial friends. But in all seriousness, thank you guys so much for all that you do. This podcast always makes my day, and I hope you guys are able to do the show for a long time. P.S. I've been trying to indoctrinate my best friend into the Hiddo cult for months. Can you please tell Hydra that he should listen to you guys? Hydra?
What are you doing?
I'm disappointed in you.
I'm begging, I'm pleading.
You're so much better than this.
I'm on my knees. Why not? Why not bless your ears for like 2 hours a week?
Not listening to Hiddo? I mean,
in 2024?
This is the only 60 to 120 minute podcast.
And I mean, look, this is the perfect time to jump on if you're a new listener because, you know, we just completed the Biden arc.
It's true.
This is the first episode fully in the Trump administration.
Mm-hmm.
What a better jumping on point.
Exactly.
What a better way to be informed
We
for
are
60 to 120 minutes a week.
Yeah, last week on Sunday, we said, you know, we recorded on the 19th, of course.
Yep.
And we said, let us know how this Trump administration is going. Oh, boy.
Oh,
Oh, boy.
It's
really bad.
We'll get into it, but kind of in the same vein as that last review, we have another one by Maxie Lowe's writing a review before getting deported. Wow.
God damn.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Since he's back at the White House and there's a chance I might get deported, I think it's time to write a review. As a DACA recipient, it's refreshing to see that you guys haven't turned against immigrants like most Democrats and some so-called progressive networks like TYT have.
Yeah.
Like many Gen Z, I discovered these handsome white allies on TikTok. Lucky he hasn't been banned yet. And I decided to give them a try. I don't regret it at all. This is truly the #1 political and geopolitical podcast, and I promise to keep listening even if I'm deported to Mexico, a country where the incumbent party not only retained the presidency, but also grew its congressional and Senate majority. I wish, man. Maybe Democrats could learn a lesson from the leftists in Mexico. P.S. I condemn Hamas, all political violence, Latinos for Trump, and a small percentage of undocumented crime that Republicans fearmonger about. Man. That's a perfect set of condemnations to bring in the new administration.
What a bleak review.
Yeah,
here,
I hope you get to stay.
Yeah,
especially as a DACA recipient. I'm praying for you.
Yeah, you're a DACA recipient, should be able to stay.
Yeah, I fuck with the dreamers.
Yeah, I do. This last one here from Charles Concarne. Just switched from a Wednesday weenie to a Sunday weenie, and I'm feeling it gets cut off, but I'm guessing that means they're trying to say great.
Gotta be great.
I'm gonna
feeling supreme.
They say, first of all, I condemn Hamas and all political violence. I stumbled into a newfound interest into politics after the 2024 election. Funny time to start.
Yeah. Oh, man.
My first episode listening was the 2024 retrospective, and would like to thank you all for putting out such agreeable content. As a leftist located in Tennessee, the election year has been a rough one. Wanted to thank you all for making all the political jargon more easily digestible. Keep up the great work. Hiddo 2032. I won't be old enough to be the president.
Yeah, I'll be what, 31?
Yeah.
Whew, old age.
Yeah, I don't ever want to be that old.
Not looking forward to that. But
I'm still in my early 20s.
This is the last episode. I'm in my early 20s, man, and it's I'm fearful.
Started the pod in your early 20s. Pod's still going in your mid-20s.
Oh, my God.
It's bad out here, man.
My God.
Anyways, thank you all for those reviews. If you want your review read, you know where to go.
Yeah.
We appreciate those every single week.
Shit, once Kash Patel gets confirmed, do not mention us in why you are a leftist.
Mm-hmm. And maybe, I don't know if they can trace your IP address from reviews that you leave, but maybe don't let them know if you could be deported. You know what I mean?
Valid.
They will use any pretext to get you, even if you're an American citizen.
Valid.
Because that happened this past week.
Or shit, everybody write that they could be deported. It's like prank calling the ICE line. You know what I'm saying? Which I won't endorse or condemn. You know?
ICE is such a fundamentally evil organization. There's no redeeming qualities.
Oh, absolutely. And the motherfuckers that are running around right now, insane.
Yeah.
Insane. We'll get to it.
There's lots of critiques of police and a lot those are very fair, obviously. Systemic critiques of the police, obviously, the history of the police and so on. But, you can make an argument that in any society with laws, there's going to be some form of policing. Mm-hmm. ICE, though, just an evil organization.
Oh, absolutely. And it's all the bad cops get promoted to ICE.
Yeah.
What it fucking feels like.
That's the pipeline. Fucking walking the streets as a police officer to ICE pipeline. Man, beat cop to ICE pipeline. That's crazy. Let's start off the news coverage here, though. We're going to be talking about the first week of the Trump administration.
Man, that's really all this episode is. Man, he did so much, and I think genuinely 98% of it was strictly bad.
Oh, yeah.
Like, wow.
The only good thing was, like, what? Extending the TikTok?
Extending TikTok. And then I think he, like, recognized a tribe in North Carolina, like a Native American tribe.
But I also saw that ICE agents were trying to arrest some Native Americans for not having their papers, which is crazy because, like, they were here first.
They've been here way longer than we have.
Yeah, where else would they have been
I
from?
think I had seen, I don't have a source on this, I think I had seen part of ending birthright citizenship, maybe ending it for Native Americans, but, like, if anyone has a birthright.
Yeah, if anybody has it. Yeah, exactly. So all of this episode really will be focused on the first week of the Trump administration. We got a record number of executive orders / executive actions on the first day, which was all bad. Yeah. Bad record to break for this guy.
Bad record to set, man.
We already talked about the Sig Heil, but it's just crazy that happened. But I think we should get into these executive actions. And I want to start off with a sort of broad picture here. Because, as we said at the top of this episode, lots of shit's going to happen in this administration over the next 4 years. The job for us as the people in the minority, and especially like for Democrats who are the established minority party at this point, you got to be precise about what you want to talk about. You can't talk about all of it because it'll just get lost and drowned out and your critiques won't matter. So you got to be specific. And to do that, I think we got to be able to sort the executive actions and legislating that we're seeing into certain buckets so we know exactly what to critique.
We're going to break it down and categorize it for you.
Axiomatically. We're breaking it down to the fundamentals. So,
and, even before we get into breaking it down, this is the first episode fully in the Trump administration. I would like to start off by saying this is an opposition party podcast. I am taking up the mantle in the same vein as Mitch McConnell took it up against Obama.
Oh yeah.
I am obstructing. I am wielding 100%. Rhetoric. Yeah. I am going to do it. Like that's it. That's what my job is.
I wish the Democratic Party had that energy because
that's why they need to pay us and give us a bag.
Exactly. This past week, they were not taking their job seriously.
I need them to ring my line, man, because I'm ready to take this opposition thing to the next level.
It's real bad. But let's try to break these down, and then we'll get into exactly the sort of specific executive orders that we saw. I think almost all actions from this Trump administration will fall into one of four buckets. It'll either be extreme bigotry, deregulation, gifts to his billionaire friends, or useless nonsense meant only to make you angry about something.
Yes.
I think those four categories will will for the most part cover everything Trump will do. There will be like a one-off good thing that he does, like staying the TikTok ban, for example, or in his last administration, negotiating the withdrawal from Afghanistan. Like there will be sometimes a good thing that he does. And when that happens, you can say, I think this is a good thing. But for the most part, the Trump administration will be one of those four. Well, all of the actions of the Trump administration will fall into one of those four buckets.
And I mean, that's what he set the precedent for. There's a reason people have always said that your first 100 days of your presidency are the most significant because they set the tone for the rest of the administration. And he don't even need 100, man. These first what? He got inaugurated on Monday?
Yeah.
These first 6 days have been a doozy.
Yeah. And like, for example, I think a lot of the Greenland stuff is like the useless nonsense meant to distract you. Obviously, we talked about that for a little bit, I think 2 episodes ago, maybe.
Yeah, I got a little bit of it later in here, but like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like it's not, I don't think it's real. I mean, if he does actual military aggression towards Denmark, that'll be crazy. But I'm going to sit on the nothing ever happened side of the fence for right now. Yeah. I don't think that'll actually happen. But like the bigotry will obviously play a big role, and it already has with the DEI stuff that we'll talk about. But most of it, I think, will be the substantive stuff will really be deregulation, which is very easy for him to do at this point. He's already doing it. And then gifts to billionaires, which obviously we know what that's going to mean.
Gas.
So let's get into these executive orders.
Yeah, why don't we start breaking it down, man?
I want to start with the culture war.
You do?
I'm a culture warrior.
Yeah.
After all.
Well, of course. I'm enlisted in the fight. I've been drafted.
Being a member, exactly. I've enlisted. I've actually been conscripted.
Yeah,
I'm being forced to fight.
I'm actually an officer.
Yeah, as a member of the opposition party, we got to talk about the culture war. Firstly, Trump has signed a couple of executive orders targeting DEI policies and offices within the federal government that deal with those policies.
Really dope how they threw that A in there last minute.
The A is brand new.
Yeah.
It sort of represents a thing that Republicans have been doing for a while, but the A, if you don't know, stands for accessibility. meaning accommodations for people with like mental and physical disabilities.
I've never seen a white guy complain about like reverse ableism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why are we throwing the DEI stuff is already bullshit. But like, why throw the A in there last minute?
It's because I think they don't like the Americans with Disabilities Act.
They definitely don't. Yeah. Like, they don't like that they have to have a ramp next to the stairs sometimes.
Yeah. Like, it costs a little bit more money. And I think the more fundamental thing is like hiring practices that don't discriminate on the basis of like being in a wheelchair or, you know, needing whatever accommodations. You know what I mean? So the A has been thrown in there, which is interesting because I feel like that's the kind of thing that will disproportionately impact veterans, right?
Absolutely.
Like, veterans are the ones, not that, like, you know, every veteran has something wrong with them, right? But
no
like,
more wheelchair ramps at the VA.
But, like veterans need, a lot of veterans, especially if they've been injured, need accommodations, and I think that the government should do that.
Well, especially a lot of veterans come home from, the wars of the last 20 years with lost legs. Like, a lot... Hey man, there's no reason to be throwing the A in there. It wasn't even like a culture war thing. It's just like a love of the game type thing. A lot of these are like he just loves being evil now.
Yeah. This is definitely a Heritage Foundation kind of thing. He, in terms of the exact executive orders, he signed one that rescinded a civil rights era executive order, which is the Equal Employment Opportunity Executive Order signed by LBJ that required affirmative action and prohibited discrimination on the basis of identity when hiring into federal jobs or hiring federal contractors. Yes. So he didn't rescind the act. The act still exists, right? Like the Civil Rights Act is still in place. That's what prohibits like discrimination on the basis of race for employment and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the executive order, as it applies to the federal government, has been rescinded. So discrimination is cool if the government does it?
Yeah, in the federal, if you're looking for a federal job, I hope you're a white guy.
Yeah, there's no workplace protection at that point, right?
Is insane.
And the point that a lot of conservatives have latched onto is the point about affirmative action, right? Because we saw affirmative action for college admissions get outlawed last year by the Supreme Court for colleges. But now Trump is getting rid of it for the federal government. And just as a reminder, right, like the Civil Rights Act passes in the 60s, and that's a big deal. But then people can just be like, well, I don't want to hire this guy, not because he's black, but because I don't like him. Yeah. Or he, bad interview or something like that. So you need affirmative action to affirmatively get people into positions that they were historically discriminated from having.
And it was
pretty simple.
Absolutely necessary in the wake of the Civil Rights Act when most people still did not fuck with minorities, like at all. They just wouldn't have hired them.
It's just taking race into account. It's not like taking any random black person you find and giving them a job. It's taking their qualifications and their background into account when you're hiring them.
And I would imagine affirmative action works a lot differently when it comes to employment than it did for college admissions.
For sure.
Like, it's going to be a lot different of a process.
Yeah, and I think affirmative action actually has benefited white women, at least in education. I know it's benefited white women more than any other subgroup. So it's like, the government's still mostly white, dog. They're just trying to get rid of the little amount of progress we've made since the 60s. Also, as a part of these executive orders, the federal government has been told that they must report to the White House which employees in their offices manage these DEIA policies so they can be fired, presumably. And they did note in their orders or their memos or whatever that noncompliance or not telling the White House what's going on in your office will result in punishments.
What does that mean? Like, you're firing them all anyway?
Yeah.
What could the punishments be other than just firing them?
Yeah, it's, unemployment rate going up, I guess.
I fucking guess, man. I thought a real interesting, downstream effect of like this sort of crackdown on DEIA and the federal government has been like what happened at the United States Air Force yesterday. They removed a training course with videos involving the Tuskegee airmen and female World War II pilots because those videos were used in DEI coursework.
Oh, that's crazy.
In a statement, the Air Force said it, quote, will fully execute and implement all directives outlined in the executive orders issued by the president, ensuring that they are carried out with utmost professionalism, efficiency, and in alignment with national security objectives. Trump said no more DEI. Air Force said no more Tuskegee airmen. We're just we're going to remove the training videos from our course because it was part of DEI coursework.
Yeah.
Shit, that's just removing minority history. Like, that is tantamount to just minority erasure. The Tuskegee Airmen and, like, the women World War II pilots were so much more important than that, too. And even teaching about them in these DEI trainings is not so that people are like, oh, look at these black people who are better than you. It's to understand the history and why these groups were significant within our military. Like, it's just... Yeah. It's just erasure, and it's something that conservatives have been gearing up for years to do. Yeah. We've already seen classrooms in red states like stop talking about like slavery. This was a big thing in 2022 with Ron DeSantis. says. They want white students to not have to feel bad about what was going on before. The same thing that Elon Musk said to the Nazis in Germany. We need a proud Germany. He said this week. We need a proud Germany. Germans shouldn't be guilty for the past.
That's insane.
Which was nuts. Yes, you should.
Yes, that wasn't even a full lifetime ago. That was 80 years.
Yeah, literally. There are still veterans, like right here. There are still survivors.
Yeah, that's actually fucking insane. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, but it's like this is just erasure. Yeah. This is just erasure of any part of history that reminds people that, like, hey, maybe we discriminated against black people.
And I can't imagine that this shit will apply to like military recruitment, because those DEI policies and recruitment do genuinely help the military's numbers, which have been waning over the last several years.
They use things like this to boost recruitment number with the minority communities that historically haven't signed up as much as others. So it's like, and what makes me think they do is that the Air Force and federal like, I guess, organizations, administrations are willing to, they don't know how to interpret this. They don't know how to interpret this broad crackdown. They just see, Trump just sees DEI, and conservatives see DEI, and they say, oh, should get rid of it. That's illegal now. Yeah. So can they go and do these like different recruiting? I don't know. And things like this shouldn't be removed. Even if you're getting rid of like DEI stuff, you should not be teaching about the Tuskegee Airmen in basic training.
It's a part of U.S. history.
It's a part of military history.
Yeah.
Like, man.
You know, it's again, people, it's looking bleak. It's an incredibly bleak week for the news. Of course, Trump also signed an executive order to define sex as male and female and gender as whatever you're assigned at birth, basically making it so the federal government no longer recognizes trans people.
Erasure, once again.
Yeah, there's really not much to say here. People have been making fun of this executive order because whoever wrote it was so dumb to not consider that at conception everyone genetically is considered a female.
Yeah, because the wording is like, oh, your sex or your gender is defined by what your gender was at conception.
Yeah. And of course, the Y chromosome or whatever it is doesn't develop until like 6 weeks in or something. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a fucking biologist.
We all had cooters at one point.
Yeah, exactly. I think the butthole's the first to form anyway.
Oh, shit.
So who fucking cares? It doesn't matter. So yeah, that's like the one silver lining people have taken out of this, is that it's worded poorly, but it's like,
they don't care.
It's just
like
bad.
It's funny to clown on it, but like ultimately, like they don't care. The logic of the fascists does not need to be internally consistent. It just needs to be there insofar as they can use it to enforce bad things.
Yeah, no, it just needs to be in service of the political project. Yeah, like it doesn't need to be consistent. No one cares about consistency as long as it plays into the narrative of what they're trying to do. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, man.
And so it's bad. I don't know what this will mean for like lived experiences though. I can't tell exactly what this executive order will do.
Yeah.
Like the EO makes it so the government doesn't recognize trans people or non-binary folks and so on.
Yeah.
Maybe something in terms of like funding, maybe like healthcare and education related stuff. I don't know yet.
I think it comes down to passports are like a federal thing, right?
Oh yeah, you won't be able to change.
I think it comes down to you won't be able to change your gender on your passport. You won't be able to have anything other than sex assigned at birth on passport. And then I think we will see at the state level, at least in red states, like driver's licenses, you're not going to be able to change your gender. And I think it's that the passport will probably be the big one. Please let me know if I'm leaving other stuff out. I'm just kind of trying to consider this on the fly.
Yeah.
And then the rest will be up to the states. So like red states, you won't be able to do that stuff with your driver's licenses.
And they will follow
respect
suit.
It at school and things like that. So who knows? Once again, red states, bad places to be.
Yeah, real bad places to be. If you can move, I would suggest you do it, especially if you can move to a state long term that is, one, safely blue, and two, not going to be as impacted by climate change.
Yeah.
As we saw with California and North Carolina this past year.
Slim pickings.
Yeah.
This episode of Head in the Office is brought to you by Ground News.
Media literacy is a key component of our podcast here, but spotting the biases in news and reporting, especially in our nonstop media landscape, can be hard. Thankfully, the folks over at Ground News are working to make this a lot easier.
Ground News is an app and a website that collects news from all around the world and puts it in one place so you can compare coverage, uncover political biases, and learn who is funding each publication.
Ground News has a lot of cool features, such as the bias distribution, which shows you the political leanings of the sources reporting on each story, and the blind spot tab, which highlights stories that are being missed by either the left or the right. Ground News will even tell you your own news bias based on the articles you've read on their site.
If you're interested in Ground News, you can go to check.ground.news/headintheoffice for 40% off. The link is also in the description. We would suggest taking a look at their Vantage plan to unlock all the fancy features we referenced, and subscribing to Ground News also helps out the show, which we know you all want to do.
Special thanks to Ground News for sponsoring this podcast, and back to the episode. But I think it's time to move on to like the much broader category, not even broader, much more. That stuff was harmful and will be bad over time. But what Trump has been doing on immigration this past week,
by far and away, the most insane.
The most insane, the most violent, openly violent. So Trump signed executive orders to first declare a national emergency at the southern border. He then ordered the military to seal the southern border. He reinstated the Remain in Mexico policy. And most insanely, Trump signed an executive order to end birthright citizenship for kids born to undocumented parents in the United States.
Yep.
Very
interesting. Very interesting. I think he's trying to use the Alien Enemies Act of 1798.
That was also used against Japanese people during World War II.
Yep, that's a lot of the pretext for this. If he hasn't invoked it in those specific ones, he's been trying to invoke it in other orders that he signed, maybe to get ICE or just kick out anybody.
Yeah. And they're already doing it.
He is framing every single immigrant as a gang member who is the alien enemy that the act would apply to.
Trump had an interview with Sean Hannity where he literally said, like, you can usually tell if immigrants are trouble by looking at them.
That interview,
literally racist.
That interview was fucking insane. That interview was off the walls the entire length of it. Sean Hannity got on there and he was fucking sucking his slobbering on that thing, man. My goodness.
He was bouncing on it.
He was bouncing on that shit. Thank you, President Trump. Thank you, President Trump.
Man.
He gets up and they're talking about immigrants and immigration. And Sean Hannity goes, there are known terrorists in this country. I fear for an attack on American soil. We have to get these people out of here.
Yeah.
Brother, what the fuck are you talking about? Those abuelas are not coming over here to do anything other than work too damn much.
Sean Hannity lives in what, New York?
New York City.
Fuck off, man.
He said, yeah, Trump, yeah, that's right. There are terrorists here. I fear for attacks. Brother, stop sucking on it. That shit is down your throat, brother.
Yeah, and Sean Hannity would preference like every single question with an insane amount of slobbering.
Yep.
Like 1 to 2 minutes of just slobbering him up for either the election win or how bad the Democrats are or his previous administration, how good things were. Like a fake journalist.
Top two fucking meat suckers, and he's not too. Let me tell you. Oh my God.
Yeah. And then on the birthright citizenship stuff, it has been stopped by a judge. But that to me just means it will go to the Supreme Court, and then the 6-3 majority for Trump will allow him to do it.
Yeah.
Which will be, it was low-key worse. Like,
low-key worse because it becomes precedent. Exactly. It's also interesting, though. This was, I think I had seen on the Majority Report, they said this was a judge appointed by Reagan in the 80s. So because he went on Hannity, or another interview, he did a bunch of fucking interviews and rallies this week, where he said, it went to a judge and we knew what that outcome was going to be, trying to imply that it was some radical leftist judge that the evil leftist cabal sent the order to.
Dog, your ideological predecessor.
That's what I'm saying.
He's the one who did this.
Everybody, Lincoln, Reagan, and Trump.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, good for now that it's been stopped, but, I mean, there's a lot of people, I think, like, I can't remember the stat. I think it's like 16% of U.S. households have mixed status, as in like having an undocumented person living in the house.
Damn.
So a lot of people, millions of people will be impacted by this. I mean, there's like 11 million undocumented people living in the country, and millions more know who those people are and are connected to them in some way. It will be insane to not only kick all those people out, but also to have birthright citizenship ended for people born to those kids on the country soil.
Yeah. And it's also nuts because, like, you would think, like, okay, it is explicitly within the text of the Constitution, birthright citizenship.
14th Amendment.
That's a fucking thing. Yeah. It made it through the convention. Already a high burden to get through there. But the Supreme Court, I'm pretty sure, has precedent where if it's a quote-unquote national security risk, your rights don't matter.
Yeah, no, that's the Korematsu decision. And they can't cite that as precedent. Like, that's been thoroughly discredited. But, I mean, the Supreme Court has made bad decisions recently. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Precedent doesn't really matter to them anymore.
And it's like you can use the guise of national security to pretty much get away with anything, especially if you have a quote-unquote popular mandate to do so, which they are absolutely cultivating.
Yeah.
It's bonkers.
Yeah.
It's bonkers.
And for birthright citizenship to not apply to Native Americans, like indigenous people.
Yeah.
Come on.
Like, I think I had seen that. I don't exactly have source on that, but I'm pretty sure I was reading about that. Yeah.
But like, it's not
the fucking Italian is the one that
yeah. The person who came over here, 2 generations ago?
Yeah.
The argument against undocumented immigrants having citizenship or people born to undocumented immigrants getting citizenship by being born, the argument is poor, right? the argument against indigenous Americans is even worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, there's no logic there. They've been here. Like, what do you want to say?
It just pisses me off because, like, I saw Charlie Kirk on Twitter talking about, like, imagine if some undocumented person came into your house and had a baby, and now it's their house now. A country's not a house.
Yeah.
A country's not a house. That's land.
Yeah.
I go all the time without seeing my fellow countrymen. I can't go without seeing my roommate.
Exactly. Well, and like to compare a country to a house is to basically say like they're not welcome here, right?
Yeah.
Because like you wouldn't want an invader coming into your home. You wouldn't welcome them in, just as Charlie Kirk wouldn't welcome in a brown person.
Yeah.
Because that's all this is. Like this doesn't have anything to do with like maintaining national security or protecting the country or anything like that. It is literally and pretty nakedly keep brown people out of this country.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're not going to be doing anything about undocumented immigrants from Canada. We don't care.
And sometimes it's keep brown people and their sympathizers out of this country, like we saw when, I'm forgetting her name, but she popped
bishop?
off this week. The bishop,
yeah.
When she did her sermon and made all the conservatives uncomfortable, rightfully so, where all she got up there and did was, Trump, please have mercy on the members of the LGBTQ, minorities, and undocumented immigrants. They do a lot for this country. That's all she fucking said.
She did the liberal thing where it's like some of them like clean our plates after we eat at restaurants. Some of them are working in the fields. Like she framed it in a neoliberal way.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like a leftist thing where she didn't come down here. Again, back to the point at the beginning. No one's accidentally quoting Marx. She didn't pull up and do like the Giannis Varoufakis thing where he says like every border is a scar on the face of the earth. You know what I mean? She just said like have mercy.
The existence of borders necessitates the violence of their enforcement. She said, nah, these people are doing like slave labor. Low-key. Let's have mercy on them. Just have mercy. Don't even like let them stay here. Just have mercy on them.
She said, be Christ-like.
And then there was some conservative representative that said we need to add her to the deportation list. You should not be allowed to say that as a sitting representative.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, you shouldn't. That should not be something that's socially acceptable in a fucking civilized country.
Yeah.
Man.
And to the point of not being a civilized country, ICE raids have also already begun at the direction of the executive branch, more specifically Donald Trump, of course. ICE units have been seen as far north as the great state of Michigan.
Wow.
We had some ICE units, I think, in Detroit that were going around looking for people.
I had seen some of that, yeah.
I think last week on my way here, I saw like a immigration services truck had like pulled somebody over, however that works. So not good. Honestly, that's just an anecdote, obviously. But more broader reports, they've been all over the place.
Nah, I'm colorblind these next 4 years. I don't see race.
Shut the fuck up.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Everybody I meet's John Smith.
ICE agents have already done false positives, as we've said would happen. They randomly detained some people in New Jersey.
Yeah.
From what I know, they just barged into like, what was this, like a fish market?
It was like a restaurant or it was some sort of food related thing.
Yeah.
And just started detaining people.
And one person they got that was a false positive was a veteran.
Yeah.
And bro was showing it. Well, first of all, most people don't carry papers around, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't even know where my fucking birth certificate is.
Yeah.
I don't have my social security card. Sometimes I don't even like bring my wallet places. Like if I'm out on a walk or I go somewhere I know I can like pay with Apple Pay or whatever, I don't have my ID on me.
Exactly.
And the only reason I'd be safe is because I don't look like an immigrant, you know? I'm a white guy. I would pass.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't get in trouble with ICE just because of the way I look, and that is of course bigotry. But yeah, these people in New Jersey who were harassed by ICE, one was a citizen and then one was an indigenous person.
Yeah.
Who they just didn't look, I guess, white enough, and so they got harassed by ICE and their papers weren't good enough. They didn't get deported, but like that is, I mean, if that's not big government overreach, what is, right?
Yeah, they're just busting it down and you look brown, so we're going to arrest you?
Yeah.
What?
I'm telling you, there is no redeeming quality to an ICE agent.
No, it's insane. I had seen this. I had seen another video. I'll link it in the description at the end of the episode. But like in it, it's an audio of a guy who was pulled over by an ICE agent. He gives the ICE agent his license. The ICE agent fucking slices his tires. Is just aggressive the whole fucking time. And he's like, I had to do that because of how you're acting. And he's like, you have my license. I'm not driving away. Like what? Then he got detained for 4 hours for interfering with an ICE investigation.
Of course.
And then he gets released because he has his papers. He's a citizen. He's just brown.
Yeah, it's scare tactics.
ICE agents are crazy. Like, maybe ACAB will come back in a meaningful way.
And it's just, like ACAB, of course, but I feel like ICE is so much worse. Like
they are, yeah.
Like, obviously, like, I don't fuck with cops, you know what I'm saying? But, like, ICE is crazy.
Especially ICE under the leadership of, what's his fucking name? Tom Homan?
Oh, my God, yeah. That
Tom
guy's
Homan.
Evil.
Oh my fucking God. Words cannot describe how much I hate that guy.
Yeah.
And the whole huge like narrative outside of like what is physically happening, where not only are immigrants just being violently detained, citizens being violently detained, just ICE doing complete overreach and damn near like brutality. we have videos that like people like Hannity or the Fox News is touting around of immigrants being detained. We have the picture that the White House posted, I think on
their
Instagram.
yeah.
Immigration flights are going, and it's a bunch of brown people shackled being led into a plane.
Mm-hmm.
That should not be the type of imagery that we are celebrating as a society.
That shit is evil.
That shit is fascist.
Yeah.
And I don't be throwing that around lightly. In the fucking 3.5 years we've been doing on this podcast, I don't just be calling shit fascist.
Yeah.
But it is fascist. It is insane for you to be sitting in your fucking $500,000 house in middle America thinking, oh yeah, goddamn, they fucking got him. I am so happy I'm watching this video of poor people being fucking violently taken by ICE agents and thrown on a plane and sent to Mexico.
Yeah.
That's despicable.
And it's not even making your life better.
Literally.
This is not lowering the price of eggs.
And for those motherfuckers sitting in their $500,000 homes in middle America, their favorite restaurant's about to get shut down. They love going out to get Mexican. Man, the people aren't showing up to work because they're so scared for these raids.
Yeah.
People are really going to see like what happens, how much undocumented immigrants support this economy.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that as it, because I've seen a lot of conservatives get up there and say like, oh, well, because people have been like, you're going to about to watch how fucking expensive oranges are. And citrus from Florida is going to be if these immigration raids keep cracking down. They're like, oh, leftists want slave labor. Classic. No, I want everybody to be paid fair wages, but we can do that without, kicking people out who are doing the work right now.
It's just a fact of the economy that if you kick out a bunch of workers that work in sort of like foundational industries for our economy, then prices are going to go up because there's less people working. So you're going to charge more because, exactly, the labor's not there.
It's been so disheartening this week to see people just sharing these videos like, oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Seeing the stupidest motherfuckers just get on the internet and be like, oh, yes, I love this video. Everybody watch this video of this brown guy begging to stay. Mm-hmm. That shit doesn't get me excited, dog. That shit
makes me very
Get
sad.
you excited, actually.
Yeah, it's really bad. And sort of to that point, Trump, I think before he got inaugurated, was promising raids to start in Chicago on day one.
Yep.
And they did start in Chicago on day one. There was one report of an attempted raid at I think a high school in Chicago, but apparently it was Secret Service and not ICE at the door. I don't know really how to parse that, but it's still like federal agents at the door.
Yeah.
Because Trump or Vance or whoever from the White House wasn't making a stop there. So I don't know why Secret Service would be there, like casing it. You know what I mean?
I know Secret Service like deals with like they investigate some other things. Like they're not necessarily always security detail.
Yeah.
But like
federal agents at the door.
Are they sending Secret Service out to get immigrants? Like that's fucking stupid.
Yeah, I don't know how
This is all fucking stupid.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how to interpret that, but there will be dozens, if not hundreds or thousands of stories over the next 4 years of this kind of shit happening. And it's what we've been saying for a long time.
Yeah,
there's going to be false positives.
I've been saying this. I've been saying this, especially when you were trying to crack down on what he say, 20 million people.
20 million.
He kept up in the number throughout the entire election. 20 million.
It started
people.
at 10. I remember.
Started at 10.
Started at 10, and then he said 15, and then he said 20.
We're gonna get rid of all of them, and it's like the language that he's using is fucking fascist. It's Hitlerian. He's getting out there. We will permanently end like all evil things ever by getting rid of these immigrants.
It's scapegoating a minority group. Yeah.
You don't fucking say that shit if you're serious. You say we're gonna try and solve this problem, blah 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 blah. If you're serious, they're not fucking serious. Like,
yeah, and it's crazy because I'm not giving anyone props, obviously.
Yeah.
Hitler bad.
Hitler very bad.
But like the Nazis at least used like the loss of World War I as like a national embarrassment story to justify what they did. What the fuck does the U.S. have?
Hillary emails.
Yeah. Hillary emails, price of eggs went up, and that's why we're doing fascism.
Hillary emails, egg went up. Eggs are projected to go up like 20% this year.
Eggs are more expensive right now
than
they were under Joe Biden.
Eggs are more expensive. Gas is more expensive. Milk at my fucking Meijer is more expensive. I go to Meijer fucking the week after Trump gets inaugurated, 10 cents higher. My grocery bills are not going down. They're doing the opposite. Yeah. This isn't working. Give the immigrants back.
Gas was like $3.50 in Detroit when I left this morning.
That's rough.
That shit's crazy.
That is crazy.
That's expensive gas.
That's fucked up.
It's more than it was under Joe Biden.
It was $2.89 for a solid bit before Election Day.
Yeah.
I miss it.
Yeah.
I miss it, man. It's ridiculous. And Donald Trump is also on the Hannity interview framing every single immigrant that comes over as Mexico and Venezuela and Guatemala all emptied their prisons into the United States.
Just not true.
Just not true. It's just a lie. Like, I don't know how people fucking eat this shit up.
Yeah. Fuckheads will look at that and say, yeah.
Exactly. The dumbest guy you know will be like, oh, yeah, that's totally true.
So it's still not clear to me if he's actually going to try to round up 20 million people or if he's just doing this at the start to like look tough. Yeah. You know what I mean? And to like induce fear into undocumented immigrants so they just either leave themselves or like, stay out of public perception or whatever.
Because that's
both are evil.
That's the point of showing these videos and showing this all around. And
scare people.
For a couple days, or at least for one day, they were posting the numbers of people they had detained.
Oh, yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
what are you doing? Is it a highlight reel?
Yeah, I don't know if, again, I don't know if he's actually going to try to get to 20 million. If he does, that'll be like a Holocaust level type event.
Yep.
If it's just doing scare tactics, which would be a lot cheaper for him politically and like economically in terms of like the government's finances, then that'll also be very bad, but the human cost will be lower.
Yes.
We just got to wait and see, because right now, I mean, they are trying to round a lot of people up. ICE is all over the place.
It feels like the options are all bad, just some of them's less bad, I guess. Hopefully they burn out.
Yeah.
They fizzle out, but these guys are the worst.
I did want to restake our claim as #1 local politics podcast really quickly.
Okay.
Because I've got a brief story on immigration out of Mississippi. And, when you think of Mississippi, do you think of immigrants?
No.
Not a border state.
No, yeah, absolutely. It's like not of Pennsylvania when they were acting like a border state.
What's the mantra for like a lot of red states, like thank God for Mississippi? Because it's like we would be number 50 if not for Mississippi. Isn't that usually I think it's Mississippi is the state.
That's funny.
But I have a headline here that I will, usually when we read headlines, it's like, oh, this is crazy. Haha, this is really funny. Yeah. This one just hurts to look at.
Okay.
The headline is Mississippi bill would create bounty hunter program to hunt undocumented immigrants. And the content of the bill is exactly what you expect. It was just introduced to the Mississippi House. They're going to pay people $1,000 for taking part in or like facilitating the deportation of immigrants from the state.
The worst dude you know who only wears tap-out shirts and fucking Punisher skulls is going crazy right now.
And he doesn't understand Punisher.
He doesn't understand Punisher. He's bricked thinking about that. Holy shit.
I mean, that's all the bill does. It hasn't passed yet. It might, Mississippi.
Yeah,
yeah. It might end up passing, but it's a House bill to pay people, citizens, to go out and try to find immigrants to deport.
What a fucking dumbass use of taxpayer dollars. Mm-hmm. That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. And I've heard a lot of dumb shit this week, let me tell you. That's almost dumber than when Biden said we need a strong Republican Party.
Well, he got his wish.
He did.
Republican Party may be stronger than it has been in a long time.
He said that shit in 2021, and little did I know that would portend doom.
So that's your local story for this week. Bad. Unbelievably bad.
I'm keeping my mouth shut.
A couple other notes on immigration. Trump also ordered prosecutors state by state to go after officials that don't comply with ICE operations. So presumably those that are trying to enforce their status as
sanctuary
states or sanctuary cities. Yeah, exactly. And just the last thing, again, I cannot understate how badly Democrats fumbled the ball on immigration. Yep. Like, completely abandoned the rhetoric of, like, America's a melting pot. We should welcome immigrants. Immigrants make our country stronger. Yeah. They went for the conservative angle that we should also, like, that the Democratic Party also wants to deport people and make the border stronger. And now look at where we are.
Yeah, that's a big takeaway I had this week. Is it's like I've always like hated Trump Vance, especially JD Vance. He's not even funny like Trump is sometimes, but Trump's not even funny anymore. He's not even getting out there. He's not even doing his quips. He's just being evil. You know what I mean? But it's made me just hate Joe Biden more. It's made me hate Joe Biden and the Democrats so much more because this doesn't happen without them. They played such an integral role in manufacturing consent for this to happen. If 6 years ago they were screaming out kids in cages, we're gonna have so much more than just kids in cages.
Walls don't work, kids in cages. Yeah, exactly.
This is so much. And if they just maintain their message, if they do the opposition, Trump can't get away with this.
Yeah, no,
more people would be screaming and kicking about this, but no.
It's hard to understate how terribly Democrats did on this issue.
Like how can this happen and Democrats lost with Latinos?
And they're still, Democrats are still like trying, some of them are still trying to do this shit. Like a bunch of them voted for the Lincoln Riley
Act passed.
Yeah.
It passed and John Fetterman's like, oh, I'm so proud to do this. Shut the fuck up and put on a suit. Put on a suit.
Yeah, it's bad. Let's talk about some government reform that Trump has started to do. So in terms of the federal government, Trump ordered a halt on all new hires into the federal government until he says he can get a grip on all of the government's agencies, which has caused people that have active job offers to lose them.
Oh,
I saw a lot of people posting like, oh, my wife or my sister or my friend or whatever got offered a job at the VA, for example, and now that job offer has been canceled, rescinded, because all new hires have been halted.
Oh, that'll be interesting. When those job numbers come out for the first quarter of the Trump administration, I'm blasting them. I'm the opposition party. Let me tell you, I am. Every week,
two-man army.
Every week that gas prices are higher than when Joe Biden is in office, I'm posting. I'm posting it. When they're not higher, I'm not posting.
I don't care. I don't care about the context.
I don't care. When gas prices are lower than when Joe Biden was the president doesn't control gas prices. When gas prices are higher. Why did Trump do this to me?
Truth doesn't matter anymore.
Why did Trump do this to us?
Yeah.
The conservatives did it and it worked. Like that's all I'm saying, man.
Trump also ordered a regulatory freeze, meaning no new regulations.
That's gas.
I don't know how big of a difference this makes. You know what I mean? I don't know how many new regulations were coming out actively anyways, since there wasn't like any legislation that was passing.
And Joe Biden did not do his best to get things done in his final days of office.
Any type of regulatory freeze at the federal level does just help corporations that are being regulated by the regulators. So this is the start of a process that I will imagine will entail the very violent and aggressive unwinding of all of the government's regulatory bodies.
That's gas.
And their rules. So
speaking to the hiring freeze, Trump has been getting at his rallies and saying those 88,000 agents that were authorized by the Inflation Reduction Act, they're getting fired.
Good.
He said they're either getting fired or going to the border. And it's like, oh, all right. You just can't
send IRS agents to the border?
Yep.
What does that mean? Deporting them?
He's just evil.
Is he saying he's going to deport them?
No. Just they're going to guard the border.
Dog, they're accountants.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, so he just loves being fascist. He just loves like just appealing to that sympathy. So that's great. That's another avenue. And it's like, look, yes, the IRS does go after middle Americans more than they do the rich people.
And that sucks.
That sucks. I don't fuck with that necessarily. But if they want to be able to go to rich people, they need like robust resources to be able to do so. It's not because they don't want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the IRS, exactly. The IRS needs more resources to go after like billionaires or billion-dollar companies because like they can go after a person making $200,000 a year pretty easily because it's just one. It's probably they only got like one income stream. But when you're talking about a corporation or you're talking about someone like Elon Musk, they can employ an army of lawyers to fight in court with the IRS for like years.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of federal money too. So they need the resources to do it.
And it's like you have less IRS agents. They got to squeeze as much as they can out of you. Yes, there's going to be less agents, less audits overall, but like the proportion of middle earners that are going to get audited, that shit's going up. Like this is not the win for middle America and small businesses like people are saying. Like it's ridiculous.
We do have to light a candle here and maybe hold a whole vigil because we've lost an important member of the culture war.
Really?
Trump has officially signed an executive order to recognize DOGE as an advisory committee, that being, of course, the Department of Government Efficiency. They're not a department. They're an advisory committee. And unfortunately, Vivek Ramaswamy is no longer a member of DOGE.
What happened? This took me by surprise. I didn't know about this. I didn't see this.
Maybe it's because Vivek said he hates white people. I don't know.
That's true. He did say white Americans are lazy. He did say it's a capital C culture problem with white Americans.
I have to say the C word, culture.
Just fucking. Maybe he got fired for doing LinkedIn speech.
He said we don't valorize Steve Urkel enough or whatever.
Oh yeah. It's we fuck with Josh Allen.
We fuck with the jock and not the math Olympiad.
And you know what? Jared Goff is cool.
He is.
Jared Goff is cool. I'm not turning my back on him after that loss like you all are.
Of course
never
not.
could. The Peyton San Antonio right there.
Yeah, but it looks like Vivek is gearing up to run for governor of Ohio, which I think is up in 26. I hope he wins the primary.
Did people even really like him? Like in my mind, when I was watching the race unfold throughout 2024 and early 2023 when we discovered him because we were early adopters, he just constantly failed upward.
Oh yeah.
Like he was in the primary and he like made it a little bit, but then he
topped out at like what 9%.
Exactly.
Come on now.
He didn't even beat Nikki Haley.
No, Nikki Haley was in longer than him.
Yeah, Nikki Haley was in longer than him.
And he was the one that called her Dick Cheney and 3-inch heels.
Yeah, such a gas line, man.
Banger line.
Holy shit. Not everyone. No one is wholly bad.
But what was it worth? You know what I mean? Why and to what end?
I got a chuckle out of it, so I guess that's good.
That was for us.
That was for us. That was for the real audience. That was for his discoverers. But either way, man, he just failed upward the whole time. So it's like, can he really carry an election?
Yeah, he hasn't run in an election and won before.
And he sucks.
And it's Ohio, as we said, he kind of has the card stacked against him being a non-white person.
But J.D. Vance won Ohio. But that's probably because he's a white guy.
Yeah, he's a white guy. Yeah, but I get the one thing he does got going for him is Bernie Moreno just beat Sherrod Brown pretty handedly. So like maybe I don't know exactly. But good news is if he does lose in a general election in Ohio, I think that will relegate him to being irrelevant for a while. Or because if you lose an Ohio race, you can't win anywhere else, man.
No, absolutely not. Or they John James him.
Oh, yeah, maybe. John James eventually won.
They could John James him and just keep moving him down. He's going to go governor, then senator, then representative, and then representative in the least competitive district.
Yeah, and maybe he'll get a House position.
Yep.
Yeah. I hope he has to run against LeBron.
Oh, my God, man. Fingers crossed.
I'd rather have LeBron in the Senate, to be honest.
That's
I'd rather
true.
have LeBron in the Senate, but like...
Because then, he's set up for a presidential run.
Exactly. And that's what I want. That's exactly what I want.
I wonder why he got kicked out of Doge, though. It makes me happy.
Yeah. I don't know.
It doesn't make me happy that Elon has more control over it, but...
I mean, that is an act of efficiency. You don't need two people in one job.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Their first act.
So, and then lastly on government reform, we got executive orders to investigate censorship and the weaponization of the government, which I think are just virtue signals, the useless nonsense category.
Yes.
I don't think these will really do anything. I can't imagine like what results would be produced from these. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's not like Biden was censoring anybody.
And it's like Zuck's already out there. Like, they told me to not let you know about...
Fauci had a gun to my head.
Fauci had a gun to my head and told me I had to tell you the vaccine was safe.
Yeah. So, I don't know. The congregation is missing someone. And that someone, dear listener, is you. The congregation awaits you over on our Discord. If you go into the description of this episode right now, there will be a link to join the Head in the Office Discord where you will find more than 1,000 like-minded individuals for you to interact with. And maybe most importantly, we'll be there.
1,000 members strong. It is a burgeoning community of Hiddo heads.
That's right.
Ready to receive you into their arms. Make you a part of the community. Vest you as a Hiddo head.
Over on Discord, we have discussions. You can interact with other Hiddo heads. And maybe, for some fun, we can do some community events. And we know that you want to be a part of that. Only available over on the official Head in the Office Discord. Moving on to pardons, though.
Yeah, this was an interesting category.
This is an interesting category.
A sleeper category, let me tell you.
So Trump pardoned nearly 1,600 people that were charged for being at the Capitol on January 6th, about a third of which were charged with some violent crime like assault or attacking police officers, that sort of thing. And then he also commuted sentences for Proud Boys and Oath Keepers, two white supremacist groups, of course, who participated in January 6th. I think the number there was like 14 people that lead those organizations received commutations from Donald Trump.
And it's like, I had seen some reporter that was at the White House when he like did those pardons, was being questioned about the pardons, and the reporter opened it up with kind of a banger line of questioning, like, oh, do you support the cops, and do you condemn people who like assault police officers? And Trump's like, yeah, of course, blah, 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 back to blue, rah, rah. And then he goes, well, why did you pardon these people who were convicted of assaulting police officers, beating the shit out of cops and whatnot? And he's like,
Exactly.
Political prisoners.
Yeah, political prisoners.
And it's like, part of me wants to be like, okay, that's a banger by that journalist. Like, yeah, because like it is. But also part of me wants to just reject the like what I'm going to call a liberal sensibility that like we can fight back by just doing like these little small rhetorical wins by catching them on hypocrisy. We have never once won by catching conservatives on hypocrisy. They live in it. They breed in it.
Yeah, I think it's a thing a journalist has to ask.
I think so. Like, I still fuck with it, but it's like, it's just not like the scathing retort. And I hope the culture doesn't try and like elevate these things like they tried like during the Hillary shit. You know what I mean? I feel like that's the kind of stuff that marks that 2016 area of politics that I don't want to see. I want to just see like opposition.
Well, the thing is like, yeah, the journalist had to ask that question, but that shouldn't be the message from Democrats.
Yeah.
To the extent that the January 6th stuff mattered, I think the ship has sailed.
I think so too.
Like there's no going back to it. He won again with a popular mandate. He won the popular vote. I know he didn't get 50, but he damn near did.
Yeah.
I think that if we wanted to do anything about the January 6th stuff, Merrick Garland would have needed to actually have done his job.
Oh yeah.
And he didn't. And now that he didn't, there's nothing we can do about it. We fumbled the ball on that.
That's a generational bag fumbler right there. That is, oh man, I can't. But it's like, when we're speaking about like how I think the liberal media needs to go at this, I think they need to do things like this next pardon that I'm going to talk about here, because this shit genuinely blew my fucking mind. You know who Ross Ulbricht is? You know the Silk Road? Like the dark web website, like the fucking people buy drugs on?
Drugs and shit? Yeah.
Ross Ulbricht was the guy who made it.
Okay.
He's the guy who facilitated that website. He pardoned him.
For what?
He had a life sentence for doing the Silk Road, for running the fucking largest American
dealing.
One of the largest American drug trades ever in American history. This guy facilitated it for 2 years, 2011 to 2013. Trump said, "Nah, you good."
Wow, not really tough on crime. What
he was like an annoying libertarian.
Yeah, well, of course.
Who did the Silk Road because he's like, people should be able to buy whatever they want. It's like, okay, whatever, but you're one of the most prolific drug traffickers in American history.
You're killing people.
You're killing people linked to overdoses. He got 40 years, and libertarians, the most most annoying people in the world took up his case and then started pleading to Trump like, hey, we'd fuck with you if you pardon this guy. And then Trump did it.
Oh my God.
His mom was going to Bitcoin conferences and like getting that crowd. This was a ploy like to appeal to the Bitcoin crowd by pardoning one of the most prolific drug traffickers in American history.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting that like it's because he was a white guy.
Yeah.
If he was anything other than a white guy, this doesn't happen. This doesn't. If he was anything other than a white guy, he's gonna get killed.
He doesn't. He doesn't get pardoned if he's a white guy. He gets the death sentence if he's not a white guy.
Where I think liberal media really should be focusing in on this and like plastering like this story all over everywhere is because he's one of the most prolific drug traffickers ever. Mm-hmm. That is Trump's whole thing with immigrants right now. It is, every single Mexican that comes across the border is bringing pounds and pounds and pounds of fentanyl stuffed in their back pockets to kill Americans and give them drugs, get them hooked on fentanyl and die. Mm-hmm. And then he goes and pardons one of the guys that was doing that.
Who literally did that,
For 2 years, run a secret online dark web drug trade. Mm-hmm. Literally dark web. Not even dark web like the corny way that like your mom says it. Mm-hmm. Literally the fucking Tor browser dark web.
Yeah, this is just Trump like rewarding the people who got him elected, right?
Yes.
Like that's really all this is. And I mean, I haven't really seen many Democrats talk about it. Part of the reason I think is that the Democrats don't really have a leader at the moment. There's no like organizing body or principle around the Democratic Party. Maybe that'll change once we get a party chair in like a week or whatever. But yeah, I mean, soft on drugs.
And it's exactly a much more salient like message to hit on if you want to talk about hypocrisy. Nobody cares about January 6th anymore. Is Trump just pardoned drug dealer? Mm-hmm. Trump's letting one of the biggest fucking El Chapo out on the loose. Just exaggerate what this guy did. Yeah. Like Trump's letting El Chapo out there. Mm-hmm. Trump is putting drugs back on the street for your kids. Like, man,
that's insane.
It's so disheartening to just be able for him to talk about immigrants in that way.
Yeah,
and then let this guy go.
Yeah, it's.
I'm not even like pro carceral state and stuff like that, but like if anybody's gonna get the book.
Yeah, well, and one of the arguments Trump made about the Jan 6 people is like, oh, well, they've been in jail for 3 to 4 years. So they deserve to be out now. He said they were treated terribly. It's like, Doug, that's the prison system in America.
Yeah.
Like that's what it's supposed to do.
You remember when Marjorie Taylor Greene went there and she was just describing the conditions of an average American prison?
Yeah.
And she's like, they're living in squalor. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we do to
We've
people.
all known this and been advocating against it, actually.
Yeah, well, America's got like the most prisoners per capita of any country in the world or something like that. Any developed nation at the very least. Like, yeah, this is what we do to people. Uh-huh. You know what I mean? A few other notes on these pardons, though. For the January 6ers, Trump also pardoned a guy that wore a sweatshirt that said Camp Auschwitz on it. To January 6th, he was wearing this. It said Camp Auschwitz and then like work sets you free or whatever, which was of course the thing.
Oh my God.
He's a Nazi, right?
Yeah.
And then lastly, more broadly, very obviously, these people are emboldened now. Uh-huh. There's been some marches from, I think, Oath Keepers or Proud Boys, one of the two. Some Nazi group has been like going around to different places. I know the local presence has been pretty crazy in some places. These guys are obviously emboldened, and I think a lot of them see themselves as vindicated by Donald Trump and now maybe like enlisted by Donald Trump to sort of fulfill the darker purposes of the Trump administration, you know?
I don't know how you wouldn't. Like, especially when he didn't even think to go through and like try and like vet any of the pardons.
He said it would take too long. He said, you know how long it would take?
Not that long.
Dog.
Brother, you have the resources of the country at your
You're the
disposal.
president, man.
You can tell anyone to do anything.
Just don't pardon the dudes who got convicted of violent crimes if you want at least like the good PR out of this.
Exactly. It's not that hard to just sort. Mm-hmm. And then you can low-key get away with saying they're like political prisoners to like 70% of the country if you don't fucking pardon the ones that hit cops. Mm-hmm. Regular Americans don't like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So dumb, man.
So very bad.
These pardons, it's like you get in like your first day. I think he also pardoned like abortion protesters that were charged for like actually doing bad things. Like
they were preventing people from going into an abortion clinic.
Exactly. And they had been arrested. And watching the video of him signing the fucking order, the guy introduces it like these were people who were persecuted for expressing their First Amendment right. And Trump's like, wow, that's despicable. He had no idea. He has no fucking idea what any of these people are. His team, Christopher Rufo and his team just prepared a bunch of executive orders for Trump to sign and he fucking did it.
He has no idea what he's signing. Exactly. And this is what we've been saying. Like, Trump's the president, Trump's the figurehead, but everyone behind him are people from groups like the Heritage Foundation who will just give him shit to do and he'll do them. And then to distract us from all the terrible shit, he'll talk about buying Greenland.
Yep.
So that's where we are.
The Greenland shit is so fucking frustrating too, because it's like, what is he doing? There are reports from like European officials about how he's actually been in calls with the Danish like prime minister about buying Greenland. She's offered more military bases and mineral rights, and Trump is still like, no, I want Greenland. What? Why? What the fuck are you doing?
I mean, if it does become a state, it might be a nice place to move in like 25 years for climate change, you know?
It's fucking stupid. Like, I'm so tired.
Yeah.
I'm so tired.
But I think that ends off the pardons. What else? What else has Trump done?
Oh, we got some Gaza talk. We got some Gaza talk. We have to. So earlier this week, Trump was asked, like, when he was inaugurated on Inauguration Day, what he thought of the ceasefire, specifically whether or not it would hold. He said, quote, "I'm not confident. It's not our war. It's their war."
Well,
So that's pretty great. We are funding the war.
Yep, it's definitely our war, man. It's our proxy war.
Very notably, we are kind of letting this whole thing happen, and we could step in for a while, but whatever. He then said, "I looked at pictures of Gaza." Quote, "I looked at pictures of Gaza. Gaza is like a massive demolition site. That place it's really, it's got to be rebuilt in a different way."
Okay.
I think that's interesting because then he goes full real estate brain and just starts talking about how beautiful the property is, which I feel is a big hint for his intention with the area. But that's not a secret. He's kind of broadcast that before. I'm pretty sure he's on record talking about how beautiful it would be to have resorts in Gaza, which is like, how you going to do that?
Yeah.
There's people that live there.
You're gonna forcibly displace people, yeah.
Well, speaking of forcibly displacing people, on Saturday aboard Air Force One, he told reporters that he spoke to the King of Jordan about taking in Palestinian refugees, and that he plans to speak to Egypt about taking in more Palestinians today on Sunday, the 27th.
So yeah, forcibly displacing them.
Yeah. How many, you may be wondering? Trump wants these two countries to take literally everyone. He wants Palestinians kicked out of Gaza. This is the definition of ethnic cleansing. It is. And if you don't want to take my word for it, here's his. With regard to his chat with the King of Jordan, he said, quote, "I said to him that I'd love you to take on more because I'm looking at the whole Gaza Strip right now and it's a mess. It's a real mess." Quote, "You're talking about 1.5 million people and we just clean out that whole thing."
Oof. Jesus
horse's
Christ,
mouth,
man.
like horse's mouth. 1.5 million people we need to remove forcibly from this territory.
Oh my God!
What the fuck are you talking about?
I mean, Israel hasn't even been that blatant.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean? And they've been pretty obvious.
That's exactly why they gave Trump the ceasefire.
Yeah,
because he's willing to let them do shit like this. He then said, quote, "I don't know, something has to happen, but it's literally a demolition site right now. Almost everything's demolished and people are dying there. So I'd rather get involved with some of the Arab nations and build housing in a different location where I think they could maybe live in peace for a change." That last line, real interesting. That last line is really interesting, right? Because let's ponder just like for a moment. Why haven't they been living in peace? Let's ponder for a moment why they haven't been living in peace. I'm going to let that sit. I'm going to let that simmer. On an unrelated note, Trump instructed the military to send over all of the 2,000-pound bombs to Israel that Biden put on hold due to humanitarian concerns.
Yeah, here we go.
Because that's like the only thing Biden did to condition aid. He said no more apartment levelers because that's what 2,000-pound bombs are known to do. And Trump said, you got him, Bibi. That's it. This is unrelated for why they haven't been living in peace, by the way.
It has nothing to do with that.
These two things are completely separate, by the way. And then when asked by reporters, like, why he wants to send the 2,000-pound bombs, he said, quote, "Because they bought them."
I mean, he's being honest.
Man.
No humanitarian concerns whatsoever.
Me when I'm a Raytheon CEO. Me when I'm a weapons executive. What the fuck?
Bought them. Oh, Israel wants a nuke? Well, they paid for it.
Me when I'm an engineer who's about to make the next Child Killer 3000. Well, they're paying me. Well, they offer $200,000 a year.
You put the kid in one side, and then it grinds him up.
Exactly.
And then he pops out the other side as mush.
Yeah.
So he paid for it.
Yeah, why wouldn't I have made the fucking Doom Hell portal? I got paid. It was a commission. Like,
why did I summon that pit fiend in a populated city? I got paid for it.
I got paid for it. They paid for it, so I had to do the service. Like, that's it. You guys don't understand business and the economy. So that's pretty good. In other news, Trump also reversed sanctions that Biden put in place against violent West Bank settlers. This is all just one state solution, but the evil version.
Yeah, one state solution, but no Palestinians.
Yeah, one state solution, but the wrong way. So, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not much to say. I mean, all of this was sort of expected. We knew Trump would sort of help move the ethnic cleansing, the genocide along even further, and that's what he's doing. I mean, we've known this for ever since he announced re-election. Like, we've been saying this.
Yeah, it's just crazy to see us be vindicated so quickly.
And it sucks.
And I don't want to be vindicated about it. I don't want to have been right about that. I want Trump to be a dub. Wouldn't that be fucking great? But it's like, the writing was on the wall in like big font.
Yeah. Yeah, they can live in peace after we forcibly remove them.
That shit was like size 36 Arial.
Yeah.
You can't miss it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then to just turn around so quickly and say, yeah, I don't think that ceasefire is holding. Also, resorts. Also, let's get them all out of there and let's rebuild, but like good.
Yeah.
Like this is a lab grab for both Israel and us. At the expense of 1.5 million, more than 1.5 million people. I'm pretty sure those numbers from him are wrong. Because what is it, 2 million people live in Gaza?
Yeah.
And then I don't know the numbers in the West Bank.
Right.
But it's like he wants to kick the people out of the West Bank into Jordan and the people out of Gaza into Egypt.
And the shit they've been doing in the West Bank is already, according to the UN, illegal.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
The shit that Israel's been doing for the past year and a half is already, according to the UN, a genocide.
Yeah, precisely.
And now we just want to make it explicitly a genocide. Because, like, ethnic cleansing is not just murder. It's forceful displacement, which is what this would be.
You're cleansing the land.
I can guarantee you not all Palestinians want to get out of Gaza.
Yeah. They live there, dog.
That's their home.
They live there.
Even though, like, yes, it's a demolition site right now. It's not a demolition site like you, real estate brain fucking New Yorker thinks it's a demolition site. It's a demolition site because they've been subject to one of the worst humanitarian fucking crimes of this century.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's rough.
That's what I'm
really
saying,
rough
man.
stuff,
Like, it's been a bad week.
Yeah.
It's a bad week.
I mean, I think the one thing to take away from that, as the opposition party, of course, 'cause we are, it's just every single chance you get, point out how Trump is not a dove, how we are dedicating more and more resources overseas, how we are not pulling out of like foreign wars that we find ourselves in. I think people, a lot of Americans are very tired of what we do to other countries, especially when you explain how harmful it is. I think most Americans are not in favor of a bunch of Palestinians getting murdered. So I guess explain that as you can. But again, like there's no organized Democratic Party at this point.
We don't have recall elections.
And most of the Democrats are cool with it anyway.
And it's like, we don't have recall elections. There's really no safeguards against somebody who like does shit like this. You know what I mean? A recall election would fix this all. Not that I think necessarily right now it would help, but like just to have the option would just be something like to be more hopeful about than waiting 4 years.
We got to wait 4 years, yeah. I mean, maybe if Democrats win the House in 26, they can do some like oversight committee type stuff if fucking Jerry Connolly's gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they can like do investigations and stuff like that. But the Democratic Party isn't in favor of a free Palestine on the whole. You know what I mean? We got motherfuckers like John Fetterman.
And it's like
probably geeked about this.
Oh, he was.
He was geeked about the bombs.
He
I saw
was
that.
super geeked about the bombs. He tweeted about that. Despicable. That like you have to be a bottom of the barrel, like top 5 worst person in the history of the world.
Genuinely evil.
You have to be genuinely evil and malicious to get out there and be like, oh my God, I'm so geeked that someone can now drop 2,000-pound bombs on another someone. Like, dog, what?
John Fetterman's like, death, let's go.
Death. Oh my God, I loved the firebombing of Dresden.
But worse.
And in modern times, after we should have learned our lesson. Like, you got to be a fucking psychopath to be pro that in damn near any context.
And this isn't a world war, by the way.
It's not.
Like, firebombing of Dresden, bad. I condemn.
Yep.
But that was a world war.
It's not even two armies, like, fighting each other.
Yeah, this is a nation that we support bombing a civilian population.
Yep. Like, this is our, like, what looks like our number one ally ever, based on how much we're willing to let them do anything.
Well, they bought the weapons.
Just like bombing a prison. Like, the fuck, man? Make it make sense, bro. Make it make sense.
Yeah, it's bad. But aside from foreign policy, we can move on to some of the nonsense stuff.
Yes.
First one, Gulf of America executive order. We knew that was coming.
Corny
it's
as
been
hell.
officially renamed. Doesn't have very broad implications except for like federal designations and like maps produced by the federal government.
Yeah.
They will all say Gulf of America now. I don't think this means like, Apple Maps or Google Maps or anything like that. It has to change it. It's just what the federal government recognizes, and no other country is made to recognize. So
I did see the most annoying people on our Twitter feed talk about how at Tim Cook, why hasn't this changed yet? Like the day the EO went in, because the name didn't change on Apple Maps, because like it shouldn't.
Yeah.
This is the stupidest fucking thing that he's done.
Who cares?
No, the stupidest, like, in a non-harmful way that he's done.
It's nonsense. It's complete nonsense. Trump also issued a directive, not an executive order, just a directive, like a memo, basically, for every agency to produce a report on the cost of living and the cost of regular goods like groceries, gas, and so on. This will do nothing for inflation.
I got it. Higher. It's higher now, actually.
Like he said, produce a report in 30 days. Every agency.
Higher. Easy, 100% higher. Fuck, we didn't even talk about like other shit when it comes to the federal government. He put a pause on all communications from like the health agencies. The CDC, the HHS, and the FDA can't talk to the public right now.
We have a fucking bird flu outbreak happening right now.
Yeah, that's supposed to make eggs like I think 20% higher, some projections have said. So
I eat eggs every day.
Oh, that's going to be good. But I will be screaming about the price of eggs every episode.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to visit Meyer every single day. Are you kidding?
I'm busting out an Excel sheet. Day 1, eggs higher. Day 2, eggs higher. Even when they're not higher, fuck it, eggs higher. This is what the conservatives do, man. I'm just tired. I'm just so fucking tired. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Trump also pulled us out of the Paris Climate Accords, again, which is something he did back in 2017. And he issued an executive order that ended the Green New Deal. As if it ever passed.
Yep.
Just to remind you, the Green New Deal introduced by AOC, I think, and Ed Markey for the Senate version, was just a resolution. Like it was just a series of commitments. It was not a spending bill or anything like that, and it never passed.
Yeah.
The Green New Deal has never passed.
Why? How conservatives were allowed to fucking run with that for so long baffles me.
I feel like no Democrat called them on it either.
I wish that I could bite that hard on something and just never let go. You know? You got to admire it at least a little bit.
Yeah. Trump also withdrew the United States from the World Health Organization. Again, we have a bird flu outbreak happening right now. And the reason for this is that we pay too much while other countries don't pay enough. I think this is probably a negotiation tactic from him to get other countries to pay more into it. I think his complaint was like, we pay more than China, but China has 4 times our population or whatever. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens here.
Isn't he also trying to do a similar thing with like NATO?
Yeah, but we don't like the NATO monetary commitment is like you put a certain amount of money into your nation's military. You don't pay it to NATO.
I think
you know what I mean?
This might be. I was watching a bunch of videos on the way over here because got to study up for the pod.
Naturally,
I think I had seen him say he wants each country to commit to like 2 to 5% of GDP for defense.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
So. Yeah,
which is a lot. Like,
yeah, I don't. NATO's still on the table. I think. I don't know.
I don't think he's withdrawing from NATO.
Maybe he will. Who knows?
Or if he does, it's like later on.
Yeah, just
that'd be crazy.
Alienating our allies. It's very cool.
Wow.
And I'm not even like a liberal like that. You know what I mean?
No, for real. I'm not even like a huge NATO head.
Just handing global hegemony to China, to be honest with you. Like, there was a meme I saw that was Xi Jinping, and it was like, do nothing, win.
Yeah.
Because that's what's happening.
And it's like, even he hasn't done the tariff shit yet. Like, he hasn't done any of the tariffs. He hasn't really talked about the tariffs. He's just vaguely kind of alluded to the threats of them. But it's like, you alienate all of our trade partners. Where are they going to go? I'll let you figure it out.
They're gonna fuck with China in the
fill in the blanks.
One way, one road, one belt, one road.
One road.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's exactly what they're gonna do. Trump also rescinded some regulations on AI, and he also announced a request for $500 billion in funding for these new AI centers he wants built in the United States. There was some guy, what's his name, Sam Altman or something?
Was it the OpenAI CEO? I think it's like Sam Altman.
Yeah,
I don't fuck with any of these guys. I think they're all dumb and annoying nerds.
Yeah, well, and then I think it's OpenAI. Elon Musk started getting into some beef with this OpenAI guy because I guess Elon was originally at OpenAI, then they split and Elon made Grok and put that shit on Twitter. I don't know. It's the stupidest shit ever. AI is dumb in this sense. Like the way that they're going to use it is really dumb.
Oh yeah, he just wants AI to fund for the most dumb things, like doing a fucking grocery list or writing an essay for you.
Yeah, right. Writing a movie script.
Yeah.
So they don't have to pay writers to do it.
Fucking writing a book, AI book.
Yeah.
Man, I'm tired. I had seen him get up there and he talked about it. He's like, we're going to become the world capital of crypto and we're going to be the world leader in AI.
We didn't even talk about how he's doing a rug pull on his voters right now. Oh my
God, literally, yeah.
With the Trump coin.
He made billions of dollars. Like, as the president, like, this is using the presidency for personal profit, something that should be illegal, but whatever, that doesn't matter. I'm not going to fucking drive it home. There are bigger things to worry about right now. But, like, he's talking about, like, we need to make America a beacon for cryptocurrency and AI, and we're gonna produce the best AI in the world. Why can't we do? We've been saying for years, let's do that shit for green energy.
Something that will produce actual value.
Something that's cool. Yeah. Why do we only want to do these things for the most lame and stupid and dumb things?
AI has been a bubble for so long. Like it doesn't produce anything.
No.
There was a big, I think like last year or something, there was like this in the fall maybe. There was this big shock in Japan's economy. Because the AI bubble burst, basically. Yeah. It hasn't been producing anything, so a bunch of investors pulled out, and a lot of people lost a lot of money. That shit will happen here eventually. AI, in the way that we use it right now, because it's not for anything practical for people, is just a giant fucking bubble.
Yes. Like, most people don't even pay to use AI. There are some like AI art programs that people will like throw $5 at to make like their D&D character. You know what I mean? But like that's not the vast majority. The majority of people, I feel like it's just students being like, oh, write my fucking essay for me. Dumbass students, write my English essay for me. Solve this math equation. Tell me this chemistry problem. Balance this equation. Like it's nothing. It's nothing. It is entirely propped up by investors thinking, oh, yeah, this is going to be big. I had seen people talk. I think Sam Altman or one of the AI guys was up there doing a speech talking about how, yeah, we want AI to fucking write prescriptions for you now. I don't.
Holy shit.
I don't. Actually, I really don't want any of that to happen.
It's bad.
I don't want AI anywhere near any of that stuff.
Not to mention, like, the technology that will take people's jobs. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, companies are foaming at the mouth thinking that they could use AI to do a job rather than paying an actual human being.
That's why it's getting so much investment.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
that's it. I can't wait for that bubble to burst, man. I can't. Oh, my God.
It sucks, man, especially for, like, creative shit.
Yep.
It can't make art. It's not real.
Yeah.
Like, okay, a lot of people will argue, like, okay, all art is derivative, and that's true. Like, every piece of art that you produce, if you're, like, a painter, you're making movies or photography or whatever, like, you're inspired by other shit that you see. That's why you love your art form so much. But you're recreating it and making something new. AI is just copy-pasting what it sees on the internet or what's been fed into the algorithm and just generating something new by copying what's already been put in. Yeah. That's not the human creative process.
There is no fucking soul in an AI artwork.
Yeah.
And even if you stumble upon an AI artwork and you think it fucking looks cool, an AI artwork that looks cool in the same way that sometimes I shit in the toilet and it creates an interesting composition. Like, that's it, man.
It's not real.
Means nothing. The whole point of art is like connecting with another human and trying to find meaning in it and having a personal relationship with it.
Yeah.
You can't do that with AI.
Yeah.
It's dumb and dumb.
There's no human thought behind it. There's no creativity, and there's no communication. For communication to happen, you need like an intelligent being to be able to do it, and that's what humans do.
No wonder it's the lamest guys on the fucking planet as the head of these projects.
And even if I do see something that AI made, and I think that looks cool, what I'm impressed by is not the fact that the AI made it, but the fact that somebody made a machine that can produce what I'm looking at.
Exactly.
That's what I think is cool, is the human component.
Yeah.
I think that's what everyone admires when they see like AI make a funny image of like Biden and Trump kissing, you know? See that.
That shit is funny.
And that shit is funny, but I'm thinking, wow, someone made a machine or an algorithm that knows how to produce this kind of thing. That's crazy. Right? Like I admire the human input in it. That's what art is.
Yeah.
Ugh, it's bad. I fucking hate AI.
Yeah, at least there's some novelty to AI.
Yeah.
Like, there's novelty to those fucking Obama, Biden, and Trump playing Fortnite AI voice changer memes. That's kind of funny, you know what I mean? There's no novelty and intrigue in, oh yeah, AI, we're gonna replace pharmacists.
Yeah, but still, like with the Trump Biden Fortnite shit, like
people are writing those scripts.
Right, we're laughing at the things that somebody made.
Yeah.
Like a person made that,
Yeah.
you know? It's not the AI that we think is
There
funny.
are different levels to the AI thing, yeah, because it's like when you're doing the voice changer thing, that's very different. There's still like a creative component, like Glorb, you know, the fucking, you know, the sponge, like, that fucking thing. That's funny. There's creativeness there. When it's just like, AI image, make this. Fuck off.
Yeah, it sucks. So I don't like AI.
I don't like AI either.
You can probably tell I don't want more money I don't want more of my taxpayer money going towards this bullshit.
Yeah.
It sucks really bad.
Like, dude, just do green energy.
Yeah.
If you want to make America the fucking leader in something, why can't it be like where the world is going?
Well, because that's a global plot to, I don't know, make Christianity weaker or
That
something.
is the globalist. But like,
Yeah.
Joe Biden could have done this.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You know what? And that's a part of the reason why I hate Joe Biden so much more now. Because like watching Trump do all of these things, it's like Joe Biden could have done literally all this, but good. Joe Biden could have got out there and invited all the fucking green energy CEOs to the fucking inauguration. Could have done all this stuff. Could have said, we're going to launch an initiative and we're collecting private investments, fucking $500 trillion million for solar. And we're going to just revitalize the American economy at no cost to the consumer.
Yeah.
Man, wouldn't that be great?
He could have done it capitalistically.
He could have done it super capitalistically. He could have said, we're going to just fucking...
Profits are going to be through the roof, folks.
Jobs. Look at all the jobs we're creating.
Yeah, he could have. And then he could have had all this infrastructure in place, all this green infrastructure that if Trump just let go to waste, if he actually, you know, still wins in this scenario, then it just looks bad on him.
Yeah.
Like letting all this infrastructure go to waste that Joe Biden would have built over years, but no.
Man, fucking Trump signed an executive order where he like defined energy and he explicitly omitted, I think, solar and wind. This guy hates windmills. Like, I don't understand his fucking beef with windmills. Every other rally, he's out there ranting about how windmills are evil and Marxist. Like, man.
Yeah.
How did he win? How did he win?
Price of eggs went up, man. We're doing fascism now.
I'm saying.
Eggs are too expensive. It's going to be like the exact same. Like people with Mussolini would always say like, well, at least the trains ran on time. They didn't.
Yeah.
The trains didn't. And people are going to say at least egg prices went down. They're not going to.
I'm not letting anybody forget that either. I'm not letting anybody forget that eggs are not going down.
Again, as you said, interestingly, nothing on tariffs yet. I'm sure that's going to happen at some point. I don't know if it'll be nearly as bad as he proposed.
Yeah.
I feel like someone's going to stop him at some point because that will genuinely hurt the American economy and capitalists, more importantly. So probably won't see 25% on literally everything coming into the country like he wanted, but we'll see something. Something's going to happen.
I know we're already starting to see like negative effects of it. I think a Majority Report video I was watching on the way here, Mexico and Canada are some of our the top places we import from.
Yeah.
Mexican and Canadian suppliers of steel have already just started denying fulfillment of orders. Not fulfillment of orders, but they started denying new orders, anticipating the tariffs. So it's like there's already going to be a bit of an effect just based on the proposal of it. Like we're already going to start to see
the market reacts to what the president says.
Exactly. So it's like, man, I'm not looking forward to this.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. You're about to buy a cheap car.
Yeah.
Or what's supposed to be a cheap car. A regular average car, and it's going to be like $400,000.
God damn it. I'm not going to shut up about it.
Maybe I should get my car repaired sooner rather than later.
Oh, I got to get an oil change. Yeah. I got to get an oil change.
My side mirror has been duct taped on for more than a year now, I think. I noticed it was dangling one time. I think either somebody broke it or ran into it or something. And I haven't fixed it yet. Maybe I should do that soon.
Yeah, you should get that shit before that costs a new car.
Yeah, exactly.
To repair.
Bask in the glorious light of Hiddo merchandise.
Absolutely.
We have so much on offer that you can find right now at headintheoffice.com. We got stickers, we got shirts, we got hoodies, we got hats, we got everything you could possibly imagine. And it's divine, folks.
It's beautiful.
And it's one of the best ways you can support the show. So go and get some merch, bathe in the glory of the radiant Hiddo light, and support the show.
Support the show. We've got a variety of different colors. We've got blacks, we've got grays, and we've got green like money, most importantly. We love money here on this podcast.
So head over to headintheoffice.com, support the show, and get yourself some merch. Should we talk about FEMA? Brief bit on FEMA
another
this week.
Fucking disappointing part of the Hannity interview.
No executive orders on FEMA just yet, but of course FEMA is a topic of conversation because of California and North Carolina.
Yeah.
And of course, FEMA has struggled recently, mostly because they don't have enough funding.
Yep, because, people like Rand Paul vote against FEMA funding every single time.
But also because, of course, climate change means more natural disasters, which means FEMA's budget is stretched even thinner. But Trump was asked about FEMA by Sean Hannity and some other reporters, and he says that he wants to overhaul it or maybe get rid of it and let the states handle FEMA. Let the states handle their sort of reconstruction and cleanup efforts after natural disasters.
You better pray a natural disaster never hits Mississippi.
Yeah.
How the fuck literally are they going to pay for it?
Yeah, I hope a tornado never comes.
Oh my God. What an awful idea. What a stupid fucking idea, man. Why?
This is the type of shit that, like, if there's ever a good reason to have a federal government, it's for things like natural disasters.
And we've been saying that forever.
Like, FEMA is one of the sort of basic functions of a federal government, is to come in and pool resources and help communities when they absolutely need it.
Yeah.
California and maybe New York could do it on their own. Mississippi cannot. No, basically no other state can do it on their own.
FEMA, top 5 things your tax dollars can go to.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just strictly a good thing. It's the point of having a large organization so you can insulate against this kind of thing. He's also talking about conditioning aid to California, or maybe just no aid to California because Gavin Newsom isn't letting water flow from NorCal.
It's not how it works.
He's just lying.
It's not how it works.
He's just lying.
I've looked into this, and there still is like water to use in LA.
Yeah.
It's just that the pumping systems
uphill fire hydrants are struggling because reservoirs are getting lower because they have to use them. So like there are water pressure issues. Like he's
just making shit up. Yeah, he's just lying.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and I think a lot of California like water is privately managed.
Good, great.
I think fantastic. At least I'm pretty sure. I don't know though.
And it's like, so he's saying he wants to abolish FEMA. I feel like this is something that he might get away with doing. Motherfuckers like Rand Paul would be geeked about.
Oh, he'd bring the bill.
About abolishing FEMA. And the thing is, like, this doesn't mean that there won't be any natural disaster response throughout the country. It's going to be privatized and ran by private companies, which means that states will have to pay more for it because it's exposed to market forces, and it'll be a worse service.
Man, I saw a article earlier today when I was doing some research for the show. Let me see. I just took a fucking screenshot because this shit was insane. Let me pull up the picture of it. It's this tweet that kind of summarizes it. This is one of the most appalling stories I've ever looked into. A private equity termite rolled up the fire truck manufacturing industry between 2016 and 2020. So private equity getting in fire truck manufacturing and spent the last 5 years cashing in, doubling the price of fire apparatuses, delaying order deliveries for years on end, and contributing to a crisis of preparedness at fire departments around the country.
This is what they do.
This is what happens when we privatize essential functions.
Yeah.
People just want to extract them, use them for profit. And that is antithetical to what things like a fire department and FEMA are there to do, which is serve you in your time of greatest need.
And yeah, exactly. When it comes to emergency management or cleanup, these are things you absolutely need to have done.
Yeah.
They will charge states an enormous amount of money to actually do this.
Privatizing disaster relief is extortion. It is the definition of extortion.
And the problem is that, like, poorer states like Mississippi, a lot of red states, don't have the money to pay for this shit.
Yeah.
They will need help from the federal government. And I get it, like, FEMA probably isn't perfect. There's probably red tape. Bureaucracy doesn't always function very efficiently. I'm sure there are reforms that can be done.
It's just like water in California.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure, I've seen people say that there genuinely is, like, mismanagement of the water system by government and, like, other people that run it. But there's not mismanagement on a level that would have stopped these fucking wildfires that are moving like 4 football fields a minute.
And even then, the solution is not to privatize the entire system. It's to better fund it and maybe reduce the red tape that is existing within the system. Like, FEMA was complaining after North Carolina that they didn't have the funds to finish out 2024 in terms of, like, emergency and disaster relief.
Yeah.
And that's real. And Biden asked for more money. I think he wanted to, like, double the budget or add like $10 billion or something. And Republicans said no.
Wow.
And now they're running with the narrative that Democrats stopped aid from getting to North Carolina when it's literally the opposite. So, I don't know. It's also an important note that FEMA isn't for, like, long-term reconstruction. They are, like, immediate relief, like first 180 days.
Yep.
Like, we reported how Biden announced that he was going to have FEMA cover disaster expenses for the first 180 days of, like, rebuilding and stuff like that. And that's what he ordered the agency to do.
Yeah.
That's what FEMA is for. You need the federal government for that kind of stuff because individual states are not wealthy enough to do it except for California and maybe New York.
Unambiguously good and righteous thing.
Yeah.
Moral thing, FEMA. Great organization that is.
Because it's like the LA wildfires we talked about last week, I think. They had already cost the city, what, $20 billion in damages? Like, states just don't have the capacity to deal with that. You have to have the federal government, who can tax the entire country, deal with that kind of stuff in their time of need, because that's what the federal government's for.
And it's like, what are the tax cuts this guy's planning?
Oh, yeah, that too.
like to get rid of all this, like, what type of fucking shit are you trying to get,
FEMA's
man?
not even that expensive of an agency.
Literally.
They're not. It's not even that big. They should be bigger. Not non-existent.
They are constantly denied funding by Republicans.
So I think that about finishes out the first week of Trump year.
Well, also on top of no eggs being cheaper and my milk being more expensive, Ukraine is still fighting a war.
He didn't end that on day one as promised.
Yeah, so that's interesting. One soundbite that I heard, I'll admit that I didn't hear this in, like, the full context. I kind of tuned out. He said something like, I want to get it done. Zelensky said he wants to negotiate. A lot of people died in Ukraine, but, like, a lot more people have died in Russia too, which I think is an interesting way to frame it. Which I think is a real interesting...
Who's the aggressor?
I think that's a real interesting thing to, like, highlight and note here. So
I did see a Zelensky quote where he was like, the end of this war should not be a Putin victory, it should be a Trump victory. And I think he's playing the game.
I can't be mad at it. I can't be mad at it. That guy's struggling.
I can't fault him. Man. I really can't fault him.
It's just like the TikTok CEO.
Yep. So I think that ends the first week of Trump, but we should stop by the Senate really quickly and check on his cabinet appointments and see how they're doing. So as of January 26th, that's today for us, Sunday, we have a number of people who have been officially confirmed by the Senate to Trump's cabinet, meaning they will be leading agencies for the government. First that was confirmed was Marco Rubio, who passed with unanimous consent to be the Secretary of State. He's apparently, his first trip is to Panama, by the way. So... that's cool.
What the fuck are we doing, man?
This guy's got beef with Central and South America.
We got Trump, like, genuinely yelling at the fucking Denmark president, like, kind of signaling that he's semi-serious about this whole Greenland thing, and then the first thing he does is send Marco Rubio. Why, man?
Yeah, welcome back, Ronald Reagan.
Welcome back, Ronald
That's
Reagan.
crazy. Or George H.W., maybe. I don't know.
Nice.
Pete Hegseth has been confirmed to be the Secretary of Defense. The vote was 51-50, with J.D. Vance breaking the tie after Mitch McConnell, Lisa Murkowski, and Susan Collins all defected from the GOP.
Interesting.
They couldn't find one more person to vote no on Hegseth.
Wow.
So I don't fucking waste of time.
What else is there to say about this guy?
Yep.
We've already talked about how awful he is, how awful the things he said are, how awful the things he wrote in his book are, just unalienably attached to his name. He can't even lie and say, "Oh, I never said that," even though it's on video. You wrote it down in the book.
Yeah, he did.
And then his mom said this guy should never be around women again. His mom said this guy's a serial abuser. That wasn't enough. He's talking about, you think he's actually going to quit drinking?
Before the vote, his former sister-in-law, so the sister of his last wife.
His first wife, yeah.
Sent in
Family
a letter.
values.
Sent in a letter to the Senate basically saying that, my sister had to hide from him and plan exit routes to get away from him.
Oh, yeah, she said something like we had code words for, if he popped off, and her sister, his wife, was texting her the code word,
That's crazy.
I need to go, I'm unsafe. That guy should not be leading the military.
Largest bureaucracy in the country,
talking
maybe
about
in the
making
world.
it just more lethal and only focusing on it being, lethal.
He loves killing.
He loves it, unironically. I love death and destruction.
And then most recently, I think this was just yesterday, Kristi Noem has been confirmed as Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. And she actually, I think she got 59 votes, which means some Democrats are on board. And that includes our 2 senators.
Dude, Gary Peters, bro, what are you doing?
And John
I
Fetterman.
expected this from Alyssa Slotkin. I expected her to vote with Trump low-key 100% of the time.
What convinced you? What in her resume convinced you to vote for her?
Why, man?
What do you think you're getting from this, dog?
Oppose, please oppose.
What the fuck?
Even if it's symbolic, she's gonna get confirmed either way. Just oppose it.
Yeah.
Do you think you're gonna get negotiating power?
I don't know, and I don't think any of our senators are up in 26. I think Gary's in 28.
Yeah,
I think
Slotkin's here for 6 years.
We got Slotkin for 6 years, so they're not going to face any punishments, obviously, and this isn't the kind of thing they'd get punished for anyway. But so that means it's not for political reasons. Love of the game. This is love of the game.
Yep.
What are you getting out of this, man?
Why not just fucking every Democrat vote no on everybody? That's what it's for. You shouldn't take the Washington Post approach, which is, the president should just get its cabinet. You, as a fucking senator, ideally, are elected based on, in a representative democracy, you're elected based on, the things that you represent in your values and opinions. You should not just let anybody get through this confirmation thing. You should just be I'm going to oppose it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to oppose it. I'm a part of the opposition party. We live in a 2-party system. I'm here to oppose you. I'm opposing this.
And it's Kristi Noem. She's not, I don't even know if she's qualified. She was a governor. She's probably not qualified for this job.
She got a farm.
Evil. She's evil.
She killed a dog.
Yeah.
She talked about how she loved killing her dog.
She killed a dog and then put pen to paper or had her ghostwriter do it. Yeah. And then put that in a book and sold it. Stupid as hell, man. The rest of Trump's picks are still advancing through the Senate right now. People like Doug Burgum, Chris Wright, who we talked about last week, Pam Bondi, and so on, they're all likely to make it through. I did learn that RFK Jr. Senate hearing will be on the 29th. That's Wednesday.
Wow.
Yeah, that's Wednesday. And Tulsi Gabbard's will be on the 30th. And so we'll have more discussion about those 2 next week, and we'll see if those 2 pass, because those are the most 2 that I think those are the 2 that are most likely to not make it, if anybody is.
I don't understand how Tulsi Gabbard is more controversial than Pete Hegseth.
I think it's because she was a Democrat. I think it's because she was former. Legitimately, I think that's the reason.
Wicked bar.
I think it's because
wicked precedent to set.
I think it's because she used to be a Democrat, and she's not as because she's up for what, DNI, Director of National Intelligence, right?
Something like that.
I believe that's the position she's up for. I don't think she's as pro surveillance of the U.S. population as they want her to be. Or as hawkish as they want her to be. She's not great, obviously. She's very Islamophobic.
She sucks.
But I think that she's not far enough for them.
Man, at the very least, just please, God, don't let RFK.
RFK genuinely might be the worst pick out of all of them.
Yeah.
For in terms of harm he'll do.
For what he was appointed to.
Unique harm.
Yeah.
It's him.
Unique harm. And you got to do a lot to cause a unique harm.
Yeah, because even if Kristi Noem doesn't make it, Trump gets somebody else who will do the same shit at DHS. Yeah. You know what I mean? Kristi Noem's pretty evil. I hate to see her succeed, but he'll get somebody else to do it. RFK Jr. is a unique evil for this position.
Nobody else has got it like he does. If I see a single Democrat vote for him.
Oh, my God, man. Fetterman probably will. Fetterman will probably vote for him.
They'll probably get 4 GOP senators to defect, and then it's Fetterman that votes for him. Then JD Vance is like, oh, I got to vote in the Senate again. Didn't think I'd have to do this.
Yeah, so that wraps up our little Senate confirmations.
Lame ass fucking.
More news on that next week.
Yeah, more news on that. I'm sure we'll have more executive orders to talk about next week, but for now, it's time to get into a little Hito extras.
Okay. Yeah.
We've been talking a lot about, executive orders, what Trump's doing federally, but, I want to remind us that states are still awful and doing bad things, and as the #1 state news podcast,
yeah, we are.
We've got to highlight it.
Okay.
So specifically this week, I want to bully Indiana. Indiana apparently is actually hell. So to start, the governor this week signed an executive order that would make it so that abortion records are public information.
Okay, that seems like a stretch.
Yeah, apparently that used to be a thing in Idaho, and then it got removed with like their abortion ban after Roe v. Wade stuff. But he's like, no, that was actually so cool, I want it back.
You want it back?
When
records,
it's more like politically charged to get an abortion than kind of really ever since Roe v. Wade.
You're basically just putting up a hit list.
I want to
for
make
pro-lifers.
that shit public. Like, yeah, what are you gonna do a bounty bill next? Like,
it's literally a hit list for pro-lifers. It's
exactly.
like this woman got an abortion, go get her.
That feels like that should be HIPAA information.
Yeah.
I don't understand why it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
So that's fucked up. But that's what the governor is doing. Next, I'm going to read you a slew of legislation that was introduced in the state legislature. Okay. So,
all right.
First we have House Bill 1231 by Representative J.D. Prescott. This would require public schools to post the 10 Commandments. Very tame considering what's to come.
Church and state combo.
Yep, so that's a good one.
Yeah.
HB 1334 by Representative Lindsey Patterson classifies zygotes, embryos, and fetuses as human beings and officially criminalizes abortions as murder. HB 1644 by Representative Kendall Culp restricts college students' voting rights, adding more barriers to both voter registration and the voting process.
All right.
So that means your student ID isn't a valid ID to like go register to vote anymore.
Yeah, that's not in a lot of states, yeah.
Which like, why wouldn't it be?
It's got my name and picture on it.
And nobody else has got this. Like, it's a very unique thing.
Have you ever met anyone that forged a student ID?
Oh, I'm going to start.
I want to start an operation in Indiana.
And I'm going to give it to illegal immigrants.
Well, of course.
And then once they do it and they come back, I'll give them illegal sex changes. You know what I mean? Because that's what it's all about here.
Give them
the
a pack
party.
of fentanyl to go sell.
To go just disperse. To go put in candy on Halloween.
Motherfuckers think that's what's happening. Motherfuckers think this is what's happening.
There's a guy, the most annoying guy in your hometown thinks that's real. Just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind when it comes to midterms. You know what I mean? And why you should go fucking vote. This next one, HB 1669 by Representative Bruce Borders, bans and criminalizes drag shows. Wow,
Right,
like
man,
that's just like
party of free speech and free expression. Yeah,
so dope, right? I love freedoms, so that's good. HB 1684 by Representative Tim Wesco ends no-fault divorce, requiring petitioners to prove in a court why their divorce should be granted.
No, my wife. We need to make it so the state says my wife cannot leave me.
She can't. She's oh my god. She's gonna take the fucking kids.
She wants to leave because I don't clean the house and I never take care of the kids. That is not a valid reason.
She's gonna take everything. Oh my
Dog,
god.
she's asking to get killed. Like legitimately, if someone doesn't want to be with
unsafe.
you enough, she gonna murder you.
Ending no-fault divorce is just unsafe
for
like,
men.
Straight up, that should just always be a thing.
Yeah.
If not, so that women can leave abusive situations.
Of course.
So that you can keep your life.
They're gonna poison you, man.
That shit is crazy.
It's the only recourse at that point.
Right?
Yeah.
So Senate Bill 171 by Senator Mike Young and Senate Bill 245 by Senator Tyler Johnson and Liz Brown bans abortion pills even for miscarriage treatment. Yep.
It's a medically prescribed.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Even for it, they didn't even want to go with they didn't even want to open themselves up to the rhetorical attack of, oh, haha, what about this situation you left out? They said, no, yeah, that's included.
I mean, standing on business, I guess. But once again, politicians doing science, medicine.
Yeah, so that's
Nice.
great.
I'm sure they got a biology degree.
Senate Bill 286 by Senator Gary Bryan criminalizes wearing a mask in public.
Like a COVID mask?
I'm pretty sure he's talking about like
a balaclava.
like
situation?
like that, but like also COVID mask. You could go either way, and like it's believable.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this is like an Antifa thing or like a Dr. Fauci thing. You know what I mean?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think maybe we're leaning more Antifa, 25% Anthony Fauci. So that's great. Senate Bill 441 by Senator Gary Bryan denies legal recognition to trans and non-binary people who live in Indiana.
What legal recognition? What would that even mean?
I think that's driver's licenses.
Yeah. Okay.
Status on official documents and things like that. So like, doing the same thing Trump's doing federally.
I'm surprised Indiana doesn't already do that.
I was surprised too.
Not because I didn't really think Indiana would be like a safe haven for marginalized groups. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Indiana doesn't scream sanctuary state.
But that sucks for the people
LGBTQ.
Who live there. Yeah, of course.
It's objectively bad.
Yeah.
And just a stupid fucking bill. And then finally, Senate Bill 523 by Senators Stacey Donato and Jeff Ratz allows religious chaplains to work or volunteer at public schools. And I think we know which religion they're talking about.
Yeah, of course. We're not talking about.
I don't think chaplains are a thing in other religions, so maybe that's just straight up targeted to only let Christians work.
Yeah, again, church and state combo. Yeah. My favorite one's the divorce one.
I think so too.
But the state's going to get involved and prevent my wife from leaving me.
And it's like Steven Crowder is cheering.
Oh, right? Yeah.
Steven Crowder loves that bill.
I think he literally said that we should end no-fault divorce because he got divorced.
Well, when you say your fucking vows on that altar, you say them for life, in sickness and health, for better and for worse.
I'm telling you, man, at the end of the day, fascism is just about men being fucking insecure.
The root of fascism is sexual insecurity.
For men, it's crazy,
the theory still holds.
Yeah.
Man.
If you say a vow to me, however many years ago, you are tied to me forever.
It doesn't matter how much I switch up after we actually get married.
It's like covenant marriages already exist. You can enter into one of those because that's basically what that is. You know what I mean? You made the promise, you have to stay true to it.
You could just abide by that. Mm-hmm. You could search for a partner that also values that, maybe too, and there you go.
But I'm fully in favor of people leaving relationships for any reason.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You don't owe anybody anything. Yeah, exactly. You don't owe anybody anything.
Man, so that's Indiana.
That's hilarious, though.
Next week, maybe we'll have another state that introduces just 15 more awful bills that we'll talk about.
It's the closest thing we got to state-sponsored girlfriend. You know what? State-mandated girlfriend. It's as good as we're going to get for right now. Maybe we'll get there in the next 4 years.
Shit, that would be good.
Yeah, but that will really prove the case, I think.
I think so, too.
Yeah, we'll get there when we get there, I suppose.
Yeah, so... That's Indiana. Rip y'all that live in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
That fucking sucks.
I hope a hurricane or tornado or whatever doesn't hit Indiana under Trump's no FEMA rule.
Well, they voted for Trump, so Trump will give them money.
Yeah, that's the other part.
The other part of the whole getting rid of FEMA thing is Trump will either get rid of FEMA or limit it in such a capacity to where it's just his discretion where all the money goes. Like he tried to do when back in the first Trump, the 2016 to 2020 administration, he gave aid to states that voted for him, and states that didn't vote for him, he tried everything he could to not give it to them.
That's the other thing I wanted to say is that Trump said that he will give money to California for the wildfires, but only if they institute voter ID laws. He said, you got to make it harder to vote in your state, or I'm not going to give you natural disaster funding. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
And it's just because they don't vote for him.
Yeah.
He's not doing this to North Carolina because North Carolina went red. They voted for Trump. But California consistently does not. California produces politicians that are anti-Trump, so he doesn't want to give them money. That's insane. That is insane.
Yeah.
On top of wanting to get rid of FEMA.
It's a country we got. Mm-hmm. We definitely have a country.
Not for long.
Yeah.
Maybe not for long. We'll see. But that's the show for today, folks.
That is the show for today.
It's bleak.
Yeah. Hopefully next week's better.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect very many good weeks.
Yeah, I'm not counting on a lot of good news.
Hopefully November 2026.
Yeah.
We get an overwhelming blue wave. Mm-hmm. But even then, it's he's still got the presidency for 2 years.
The best news that we can get coming out for the next 2 years is 7 Democrats vote no on this legislation, and 217 Democrats in the House vote no on legislation.
Yeah.
The best news we can get is literally every Democrat voted no on any piece of conservative thing.
The House is incredibly slim. There's always the possibility that either Trump poaches a House member to serve in the cabinet, so there's a special election.
Oh, I hope he keeps doing that.
Or an older member dies, so there's a special election, right? There's always those opportunities, but
it's they're old on both sides.
And most House seats are in uncompetitive districts, Yeah. It's just not a chance for a Democrat to win in those seats. So it's not great. And this is just kind of what happens when you lose bigly.
There's a bit of a new norm. Unfortunately, but let's rally in 26.
The Democratic Party has fundamentally been burnt to the ground, and from the ashes rises the two of us, who will be the face of the opposition party.
If the DNC could just pool their last remaining dollars, give them to us, we're good. I'll oppose.
There's a former senior Bernie staffer that is running for DNC chair.
Oh,
and
really?
he was basically saying that he wants to use party funds to help labor unions and stuff.
Oh, God.
So I hope he wins.
That race is the first?
Yeah, I think they vote on the first.
How's that been going? I was thinking about like diving into that stuff and covering it, but after the executive orders this week, I forgot.
Yeah, and it's like it's not like we can really like do much. There's not really anything anybody can do.
Yeah,
because it's delegates that vote for these guys.
It's
from
up
each
to
of the states.
the worst people in the party to pick who's going to run.
Well,
the
it's up to
party.
the establishment.
So,
so I have a feeling like the Ben Wickler guy will win from Wisconsin.
I hope so.
He doesn't suck, but I think I like the Bernie guy more. You know?
Oh, definitely. But Ben's a good option.
Yeah.
He's a progressive guy, so hopefully he can become militantly progressive.
And
in
he's
his rhetoric.
talking about populism. He did a good job in Wisconsin,
Yeah.
like organizing. So I wouldn't be heartbroken if it's not the Bernie guy. But hoping we can get some fun populism soon.
Yep. Oh, I'll be doing populism. If populism is egg prices, I'm doing populism.
I'm gonna be doing populism, and I'm gonna be lying if I have to.
Yep.
Because that's the environment I'm in.
100%. Yeah, good things are good and bad things are bad, guys. I need you to remember that.
And Marx said men make their own history, but they don't make it as they please. I'm a victim of circumstance.
And we're not accidentally quoting.
No, that's real. It's not a dog whistle.
Co-signed right there.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness, man. No. And, in a couple weeks when you tune in and you check the gas price checker and you're like, oh, interesting, it's actually down relative to this time last year. And I come on the podcast and I say it's up. Mm-hmm. Just know what's up.
Yeah. Well, the president doesn't have that much control of the gas prices.
He doesn't.
What, you think he has a gas down button?
Yeah, the fuck, that's stupid as hell. Mm-hmm. Then the following week when it's back up, is President Trump, what are you doing?
Exactly. Here's X, Y, and Z what he did to raise the prices. I'm doing analysis on this show, people.
That's right.
But anyways, that ends off this episode. And as we always do, as we exit these episodes, we got to thank our favorite people.
Favorite people, our friends.
Most beautiful people. The people who pull our strings from behind the curtains.
That's right.
From the shadows,
the
really.
The people who direct us what to say and what to lie about.
Mm-hmm. This is the cabal, people. The establishment.
These are the cabal. They've got the strings, everything you associate with control, that's them for us.
Yeah. And that's these people that we got to thank.
These are our corporate backers.
Yeah.
So I'd like to start with thanking Caden Kraut, Lord Tyler Radiant, Chris the Postman, Chrissy Begg, Dylan B, Andrew Harris, Mike Chaplinsky, Omar Zuno, Clayton LaFed, Mark Yeager, Caleb Joy, Rich Taro, Tari, Gavin Meyer, Maldonado, Hunter W, Fergalaki, Max Vesquez, Jake Rogers, Colton Mooberry, Fixer Punk, Jim Egbers, Jeff Muzzy, Big Burrito, Cincy Alex, Joe Stenstrom, Adrian Sandoval, Chloe Sam 601, Colleen Cutsfer, Yuck, Jennifer DeVoe, Big Bird, Teddy, Crawfish, and Benny Bennington III, Alexia Benanti, Nietzsche, Big Booty Beatdown, Sam Maloney, Two-Headed Boy, Ben Shapiro's Boyfriend, Ted Cruz's Boy Toy, Dictator Jace, Luke O'Shea, Cucker Tarleson, Danielle Jackson, The Word of Microsoft, Jennifer Science, Aaron and his Gundam Gundams, Darth Father, Taylor for Content, Corey Chambers, Ellie N, Devin Hatchard, Retro Mondo, Emma the Doot Slayer, Veronica, aka V, Ash Smith, The Grotler, Flower Clown, Beetlebugs, Murder in a Trench Coat, Lonnie Rogers, Slavic and Sapphic, Casey Lynn Kelly, Snake Eyes, In Hope of Giants, AK Gon, Zach Lantian, Info Russell, Austin Greif, Marcus Corbett, Caleb Roper, Taylor Rensock, Cammy, Tylen Freeman, Steak Daddy, Tay Tay,
Isaac Hodges, Madeline C., Kayla Lowe, Anna Volinick, Casey C., Say Yes to Wes, August, Particular Pickman, Sir Capelot, Jeff Signs, Howard the Duck, Brennan is Egg, JR, Drew Batchilder, Froggy Gumdrop, Jackie Boy, Shameless, Coherent Babbles, Sasha, MJ Sharp, Michaela Muncie, The Wallace 3000, Jared Finch, Tactical Snowflake, Son of Ander, Vanilla Bryce, Chris T., Kishan Lala, Amanda R., Hanky Panky, Tyler J., Damian Blues, Ashley White, Particulon, Memfrez, Lauren, Uncrasmatic Boar, Sasquatch, Rhonda Stiletto, Midwest Marxist, Joe the Mailman, Gary from West Michigan, Shawnee GG, Juniper Not Jupiter, Stacked Crabs, I Crowley, Urban Peach, Lord of Forlorn, Holt Forsyth, Kevin Kasaya, Schnoodle, Booty Snakes, Erica, Krusty Crab, Dewfairy, Chelceratops, Austin Lima, Lane Waltz, Azim Fitta Hussein, Gorgeous Girl Mukes, Brooklyn G, Noverk the Dastardly, Goldthorn, Addie Book, Merlin, John from Houston, Anaya, Ian C, Cryle Bongi, That Art Dork, Sergeant Pookie, Connor Nix, Jordan T, Hoodie, Kim Kitsuragi, Rose Grimm, Kristen, Jamie the Young Extremist, Jack the Heathen, Archer W, Evan Mingo, AJ Torres, Elo Nico, Jake Hall, Seth Schmidt, Daniel Stock, Dub Fub, Noah Sahas, Maja What? I think that's how you pronounce it.
Love hearing these new names.
They told me how to pronounce it, and I don't know if I got it right. And my mom, thank you all so much for supporting the show on Patreon. If you need your name on that list, because I know we got some new patrons this last week.
Your name on that list? Come on, folks. Well, this is the Dean's list.
If you need it, yeah, exactly. If you need it on the list, then you got to join the Patreon. Yeah. If you're on the Patreon and you deserve your name on the list, let us know. We just got a couple of people
Sometimes mistakes are made.
Yeah, I mean, it's just bureaucracy.
We're all people. It happens. You know what I mean? Sometimes things slip through the cracks.
Our unelected bureaucrats sometimes snooze while on the job.
Exactly.
And that's a problem.
Yeah, it is, and we need to get rid of it.
We're going to privatize it.
They need to return to work. They no more work for. All the damn near every fucking piece of discourse this week was just so genuinely awful. Like I had seen people getting up in arms about like, oh, now federal employees can't work from home on taxpayers' dime. what the fuck does work from home have to do with being paid by the taxpayer? Like,
probably cheaper.
This is an aesthetic argument.
You don't gotta like clean the offices. It's cheaper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Literally. Just
not using government Wi-Fi, working from home, they save a lot of money.
Hopefully, this fascist movement burns itself out like a lot quicker than the other ones did.
Yeah,
that'd be nice. If they could burn themselves out in like 3 months, they're like, I got nothing else to do.
We do benefit from nothing ever happens.
That's true. What time is it? Nothing o'clock.
Nothing o'clock. If you didn't like that, you can't wait for what doesn't happen next.
Yep.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Have a great week.